Welcome to Week in Horror,
You gotta be fucking kidding.
the only podcast that will feed your horror need.
The need to feed.
With JL,
Yeah, I'm a fucking masochist. I'll watch that shit.
Eugene,
Somebody has to be the sex symbol. I'm sorry.
Alex,
Shit, I just demonetized this forever.
and Johnny O.
How do you like that shit? Got halfway through the monologue before unmuting myself. Golly, it's one of them fucking days.
With industry guests,
Hi, this is Richard Oakes, Director of Host.
Hey, this is Adam Leader, Director of Host,
This is Matthew Mark Hunter,
I'm Don and Ellie,
and you're listening to Week in Horror.
and you're listening to Week in Horror.
and this is Week in Horror.
And you're listening to Week in Horror.
Welcome to prime time, bitch!
news, trivia, and more.
One by one, we will take you.
Join our live show Wednesdays at 7 Central, youtube.com/weekinhorror, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Week in Horror. Stay scared. Hey, welcome back, horror fans. It's not Wednesday, it's Thursday, 7 p.m. Central Time. That means it's time for another episode of the Week in Horror podcast, the only podcast that's just a color out of space. And if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast host, don't forget that you can join us here for our live show on our YouTube channel, so you too can interact directly with the live chat, flex your horror knowledge, and maybe even win some trivia prizes. This week, we are covering select films released in horror history, October 3rd through October 9th. Thank you all so much for joining me. I'm JL, and hopefully with me shortly will be Alex. Yes, it's one of those. It's one of those days. Unfortunately, we did get delayed, and we're live tonight instead of last night. So we're recording Thursday night instead of Wednesday. Just, we had some technical issues and some stuff that came up. Personal stuff. It happens. Life happens. These things kind of just kind of jump at you. So what are you gonna do? But tonight I was gonna talk with with the other guys. We're gonna talk with the guys and find out what they were planning on doing for Halloween, since we are going to officially be in the Halloween season, the Halloween month, the spookiest month of the year. But before Alex gets here, he should be here shortly. Let's take a look at who is in the live chat tonight. See, we got a few people. See, we got Chris Durham Music Channels in the house. He was first, says boo, celebrating the Halloween season. Excellent. And the Jord set is in the house. Good to see you, Jord. Says, yo, I'm early. Good to see you. Mystique, good to see you. Says Peekaboo. Hi, everyone. Good to see you, Mystique. Thank you for joining. Oh, so yes, I had a name change. I'm in disguise. Ah, yes, it's the season for that. This is the perfect time of year to do that. Surf is in the house, one of our amazing patrons, as well as Chris Durham. Thank you so much. And of course, I see. Oh, this Tina. Okay, so it's Tina. Is that okay? Very, very awesome. Good to see you. And then, of course, I see Charlie Welch, the only man you never make a bet with, is in the house. Says, hey, fellas, good to see you, Charlie Welch, another one of our amazing patrons. And Skooma Cat, Travis Brown, Angie, Ryan and Nance, who says, I peed. That's good to know. And Angie says, hello, my fellow horror whores. Oh, we have the most amazing audience out there. Oh, let's see. Who else do we have? Who else do we see? I think I got it. Oh, and Jinju. Good evening, Jinju. Good to see you. All right. So, yeah. Oh, and Tony Regime. I see Tony Regime in the house. Good to see you, sir. A bunch of our amazing patrons and our amazing audience are in the house tonight. So, before we jump into this, Alex is still not arrived. So, hopefully, I will be adding him shortly, and then we can have a discussion before we jump into our movie selections tonight. I hope it's not just me talking about movies, because that just seems very cringe to me. But, I'll make do with what I've got. Let me see here. I'm going to check Discord. See there? Okay. Oh, let me see. Surf says, something wrong with that like button. Think people need to hit it more. Absolutely. I would say so. Smash that like button. All right. Well, thank you to everybody who is here to check this out. I know that I am the only one here on screen at the moment. Hopefully, I think Alex should be joining me here just momentarily. I'll add him in as soon as he gets here. So here I am at the beginning of the Week in Horror podcast, and I guess what we were going to talk about is, well, I'm looking forward to Halloween. You know, it's that time of the year. People who love what I love. This is the time of year that we look forward to. This is our Christmas. This is all of the greatest, all the holidays. The one that we're always looking forward to. The time that we can, the weather starts cooling off and we can start dressing up the house and of course dressing ourselves up on the big night, which is going to be amazing. Because let's see, if I'm looking at this, that's right. Halloween is on a Sunday. It's going to be amazing. But what I plan on doing for Halloween, it's going to be a lot of fun, is I always do at the house, and I always dress up, like do the best kind of like costume that I can, and I set up outside of the house, and kind of like I'm a figure, just like I'm a statue or a figure like this. I just sit there and wait, and like that when the kids get close, I put out a giant, huge bucket of candy, and I always go for the best candy. I don't go for that cheap shit. I go for the really good stuff. I go for the regular size candy bars, the things that really get them in, and they get really, really close. And then I scare the living shit out of them. They go scattering across the countryside. I've been doing it every single year, no matter where we were living. I always did it. I always set up so I could scare the crap out of trick-or-treaters. And it was always a lot of fun. The parents loved it. Lots, always want to take pictures, everything. But the kids, especially the young ones, just watching them scream bloody murders. They run away. It's absolutely fantastic. So that's my plan. That's what I plan every year. And now what's great about the place that we just got, I have a massive porch area in front of my house and this big yard there. So I'm going to have plenty of view of all the trick-or-treaters coming up, and I'm going to scare the living shit out of them. It's going to be hilarious. Oh, I see he's about to connect. I will get Alex in here. Come on, bud. Come on, bud. There he is. Camera one, camera two, camera one, camera two. Can you hear me? Well, he's doing something. I don't know if he can hear me just yet, but maybe he's got to turn his headphones on. That would probably be helpful. We can certainly hear him. Well, while he is working on his audio, he's currently muted, but while he's working on his audio, oh, that's interesting, Skooma Cat. The Skooma Cat says, I don't really like horror, but I like to hang out here. Well, that's one of the cool things about the horror community, is that we are one of the most inclusive communities out there. And that's what I found when I first started up this podcast, that it was just, that we were embraced so readily and so quickly by the horror community, which I thought was absolutely amazing. So you're welcome. We're welcome to have you. It's awesome to have you here. Let me see here. Oh, this is a good question. So what is everybody... I'm kind of curious, like, okay, if you're dressing up for Halloween, let me know what you're dressing up as. I'd like to hear what people are going as. I see that Angie's going Goth Munchkin Land this year, and of course the cemetery. Probably setting up the house that way, Angie. That sounds cool as shit. And Surf says, yes, it's that time of year, the time where all the stores start putting out Christmas products. Yes, it is infuriating that they put out the Christmas products. So they start doing it they start getting ready for the day after Halloween. It's absolutely unacceptable. Or Halloween has been relegated to just one aisle of the store. It's just not acceptable. So that's why, thankfully, we have places like Spirit Halloween, which is amazing. So at least we get them for a month, or like a month and a half. So we get them like a month and a half, and then they go away. But that's what we need. That's what we need: dedicated stores solely for Halloween. Now we just need them year round, much like the haunted house back in Plano, Dark Hour. Dark Hour was a haunted house that was annual. It was a year-round haunted house with events for all the major holidays. And you go into, they would set it up for like a weekend or 2 weekends, have the whole, it was like a giant warehouse, and they would redo the entire warehouse for every single holiday to do a brand new haunted house attraction all throughout the year, which is amazing. Dark Hour Haunted House in North Texas is absolutely incredible. All right.
Hey, stick your finger in your nose if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
I can't hear you.
That's on your end.
I don't know what you're. Stick your finger up your nose if you can hear me. Okay, yeah, no, I can't hear you for some reason.
Yeah, we can hear you though.
Oh, hey everybody.
Can you hear us now?
No, I heard you. You can hear, or I saw you. You can hear me. I can't hear you.
Then it's on you. It's on your end.
Is there something in the settings?
No, not on this end. You have to connect. So
I'm getting computer sound. I can hear my computer noises, but I can't hear you.
No, we can hear you. We can hear you just fine. So it's something to do with your head.
It's gonna be really hard to read your lips the whole entire show.
It's something to do with your headphones.
Huh?
Something to do with your headphones.
No, I can hear all my computer audio just fine.
Yeah, it's nothing on this end. So it's on your end. This is what we're dealing with. This is what I'm dealing with.
So bizarre. Hold on.
Well, everybody says hello, Alex, though he apparently can't hear us at the moment. What do we got here? So, we got some excellent ideas. Let me see. So, Chris Durham says, yeah, the same. Most of the horror movies were pre-1970. Good stuff. And we actually have a movie from 1979 that we'll be talking about tonight. Let's see. Mystique says, I'm dressing up as me. Oh, fantastic. Well, I hope you can get the beard right. Alpha K91 is in the house. Says Mad Max Plague Doctor, of course. Damn Skippy. That'll be sweet. Let me see. Andy says, hell yes, Wizard of Oz equals my DNA. Is that DNA? Looks like DNA. I may have that wrong. Chris Germs says anything with Vincent Price. Awesome. Oh, George says, I want to go as the Winter Soldier, but the costume is so expensive. Probably just going to end up going as the dude again. Hey, costumes be costumes, man. Whether they're cheap or they're expensive. You pull off the dude easy, bathrobe, shirt, like boxer shorts, or they were like flannel boxer shorts or like this, and then sunglasses and a glass of, or sunglasses and a Caucasian, and you're good to go. So in a robe and some slippers. That's what you got. Yep, that's pretty much what it is. Alex says Alex will just have to watch the stream. So Alex, can you hear us yet? No, he's got himself muted at the moment. Awesome, fantastic. Oh, Miss DS. Tina says, Alex, switch it off and on again. Although I don't know if he can hear us yet. Now he's talking, but he's muted himself.
Nope, I still can't hear you. Hey, everybody. Oh, I see you there in the comments, though. I've turned it off and back on again twice now. Switched ports, unplugged, replugged. I'm going to try to come back in. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
This guy. This is what I deal with. This is the professionalism we have on this show. This is why... fuck that. What am I talking about? This is why we haven't hit 1,000 subs yet. Who's going to support this unprofessional show? Okay, so it's just me. So you know what? I'm just going to I'm going to plug forward. What am I to do? Because this is what we do. All right. So so bear with me. Okay, so I'm going to be honest. I've never done a solo show. I've never done this by myself. This is my first time. So I've always had, voices that I could bounce off of. So this is very, very weird. And despite the fact that I have my own channel and we've been doing this for, 3 years now, I'm like really nervous, I'm like super nervous about trying to handle this because like I said, this is uncharted territory for me. So before we jump in here, I can see we have some new people that jumped in. Ryan and Nance, good to see you again. Oh, and also Ryan, let me know if you got that shirt in, your bonus shirt. I want to make sure that got to you okay. Commander Darklight, good to see you. Says, hey guys, Commander Darklight all the way from Australia, one of our amazing patrons, one of our original patrons. who's really supported the show. Thank you so much. And I see H. Jasper E., our newest patron, who became a patron, I think, 2 episodes, just our last episode, became a patron with us. So thank you so much, H. Jasper. Good to see you. Glober Mom says, hello, Week in Horror and everyone. Good to see you, Glober Mom. And it says, you're fine. We blab off topic anyway. You got this. Just like Bridge the Divide. Oh, thank you, Charlie. Just like Bridge the Divide, man. It's all good. You talk real good. Real good. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very, very much. All right. Well, then I will do my absolute best. So let's dive into the movies that we've got tonight. So the first movie that we're going to be taking a look at came out October 4th, 1985. And it was an Italian horror film called Demons. And the reason, let's see, let me just break this one down. I can't just dive into them like that. I got to follow the script. So, Demons, directed by Lamberto Bava, with a screenplay by Dario Argento and Lamberto Bava, with Franco Ferrini and Dardano Sacchetti, and starring Urbano Barberini and Natasha Hovey of legendary fame. And then the film follows a group of punks, of 1980s punks, like mid-80s punks in Berlin, Germany, who go to the cinema and wind up being accosted by the fellow patrons who are turned into demons by mystical means and then begin to assault them and then begin to take over the planet. So, and it's weird. It was a kind of a movie in a movie, because what's happening in the movie itself, the movie they go to watch at the theater, what they see playing on screen is exactly what's happening to the characters in the show. So it's kind of a movie in a movie, a kind of media in res kind of a thing going that Bava brought into it. So the one thing in particular that we never really got to talk about a bit on this show was Italian horror, or like, I think the term spaghetti nightmares, very similar to spaghetti westerns, but spaghetti nightmares. This idea of the ideology of horror in Italy is much, much different than it would be, pretty much anywhere else. They have their own take. And if you can, this is evidence in, the work of, like I said, Lamberto Bava, Dario Argento, Fulci, a number of other individuals who are legendary directors and producers who, brought us things like Cannibal and Cannibal Holocaust. They're really, really gory stuff. One thing I love myself, I love personally about Italian horror is their willingness to go all out in order to get the scares, the willingness to really, really push the envelope and go for the goriest shit ever. Like Cannibal Holocaust resulted in actual lawsuits because there were some people that believed that the actors from the film were actually murdered for the movie. So just crazy. Like, I think Cannibal Ferox was another big one. So really, really crazy stuff. But this one was absolutely, I loved going back and watching Demons. I hadn't seen it in a long, long time. And it was fun to kind of revisit it in that sense and kind of revisit that mentality of 1980s horror, especially 1980s Italian horror. Because at the time, 80s, especially in Europe, was sort of kind of this counterculture ideology. Because there was still the censor broadcasts or the censorship movement going on in England. And so that was having an effect, kind of, pushing out. Now, French extremism was still around, and German expressionism was still having a profound effect on it. But the overwhelming shadow of the British censor was kind of pushing things out. It was making very, very hard to break into, for anywhere else to break into that market, because at that time, you didn't often get to go just like directly to America unless you had the connections like someone like Dario Argento did, because his movies were being released directly in America. But a lot of Italian films had to go through the European market before they could get to the American market. And that British censor was a beast. So, but one thing that was cool, because of this, horror became a kind of counterculture, and it was reflective in the kind of ideology of the 80s youths, especially in Germany, when just 4 years after this movie release would be the fall of the Berlin Wall, and kind of the anxiety and I guess the ideologies leading up to the fall of that wall, the political pressure, the pressure from the citizenry that would push for this event to take place. And as things kind of like boiled and got, I would say got more intense as the pressure mounted, it became more evident. It became evident in their clothing and the acceptance of the punk counterculture at the time. The things that people wore, how they wore their hair, and of course, the drugs that they did. Cocaine was a big, big influence on the 80s, especially in Europe and most especially in Germany. And then, of course, all of this ideology, this whole kind of like revolutionary style of living and thinking, is what ultimately culminated in the fall of the Berlin Wall. Now, you can see this kind of reflected, which is interesting how Bava wrote it, because I don't think it was his intention, because it wasn't how he originally presented it when he brought it to Argento, because Argento was fresh off of directing Phenomena, and he wanted to come back and do some more production. And this was the second script he looked at. First one, he just tossed like, nah, this isn't worth it. And then he picked up Demons. There was some rewriting done here and there, but otherwise it kind of represented the idea of the new breed of this youth coming up and just completely throwing out the old ways. So the old authoritarian or totalitarian ways that resulted in such things as like East Germany and West Germany. These old regimes were being toppled in the face of this new, almost unrecognizable culture that was coming up in the youth, which is what is represented by the Demons coming up. It's just like everyday action, going to the movies, and then here comes this kind of like what you see in the movie, art imitating life. And then, of course, here comes all these, what they call in the movie, demons. It's just these mutated, changed human beings who are then infecting all the people around them. And then the only way to combat it is violence. So it was kind of an allegory as to what was going on at the time, is that this ideology that things are not right now, and only through violence can we topple it, can we change things, can we spread our ideology, the ideology that we don't need these kinds of barriers, we don't need this kind of authoritarian control, and we don't want people telling us what to do. And then that concept made it, obviously, was heavily reflected, especially in horror. You can see it over in the States with Return of the Living Dead. Return of the Living Dead was a major film that expressed the 80s counterculture, or say the late 70s, early 80s punk counterculture that was going to like that. They're going to do things the way they want to do, even if it means how they act in horror, which is fantastic. These kind of individuals were great. I see Alex may be back right now. Let me add him back in. How are you doing, Alex? You back?
Fantastic. How are you doing tonight, JL?
I'm doing good. You can hear us fine. Excellent.
I can hear you fine.
So what was the issue?
Restart. Well, okay, so the power had gone out pretty shortly before you had texted me the first time earlier. And so the internet went out and my computer got all funky. And so I had to shut everything down, go restart the internet. And then everything seems to be working fine now, though. Jumping right back into your conversation about totalitarian governments, though.
Oh yeah. Just the effect of this. The like Tony Regime says, there's excellent observation. 70s and 80s horror was lawless. There was no rule. It was whoever could set there wasn't even really a standard. Just people just vying to grab a piece of the pie and just be like, we can do this differently. We can do this. We don't have to follow the rules that were set before us by anybody else. Universal horror, Hammer horror, none of it matters. We're going to go full broke, and it's just going to be this kind of essentially an expression of the youth at the time, the individuals at the time, that this was this kind of like the revolution. And we saw a revolution across the board. We see it in literature. We see it in in books that were written. We see it in film. We see it in theater. We see it in politics. We see it everywhere. And horror obviously was a great place for this kind of expression, because you've got one idea, you got the ideology of the youth, the ideology of the people of the generation before them coming into collision, throw monsters and shit in there, and it's always a fun, gory, good time.
Absolutely. And this time period in the 80s, like you said, people were just kind of grabbing. They were lawless. That's a very good way to put it. Nobody gave a shit anymore. Everybody was pretty fucking bored at this point, honestly. And you're talking about the fall of the Berlin Wall. And a lot of this does reflect that. Back to Bava real quick, the stuff that came out right before this and the stuff that came out after this was completely different. I think one of them was like Killfish or Devilfish. Came out right before this. So it was a killer shark. And then this movie came out. And then I think the one, he did something in like 92, and I can't remember if that was the slasher one or, see, now I'm going to have to, so I don't sound totally stupid. Oh no, yeah, that's right. Body Puzzle was the one that he came out.
Call that.
And so diving just into that kind of, that time period when you could just do whatever the hell you wanted, stuff like this, had a good platform to really sell itself because people were going to see the, you know, the crazy, weird movies. And, you know, something like going into a movie theater and then getting trapped in there, and you're in the movie theater watching the movie about getting trapped in the movie theater. It's exciting. And people, I don't want to take this. I heard this early on the internet. People in the 80s were bored. And so that was dangerous. And, you know, this gave some, you know, some of these people that were like, oh, I can't sit in the house any longer. I'm going to fucking snap. You know, they wanted to go do something fun, and these kinds of movies really did it for them. So it was really cool to see this kind of transformation, and people are like, all right, let's fucking push the boundaries here. And then you see stuff afterwards, like the fall of the Berlin Wall, and, you know, a lot of like eradication of just overreaching governments, and people kind of got excited for a while. And I feel like we're kind of getting towards that kind of bored state again. So it'll be kind of cool to see what comes out of the horror genre from this kind of, you know, big up on the roller coaster of the last couple decades.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I see. He wrote it. No less names in the house. This is Gabba Gabba. Hey, everybody. And he also said, yes, Italian, centuries of gory, creepy Catholicism to draw upon. Oh, there was, I mean, there's big influence in that, not only in their set design and their set design, their set dressing, but also in the way that the authority always speaks to the youth. Is that there's always this kind of like, you know, this holier than thou attitude by the authority figures. And then, you know, that just put itself that the heroes or the whoever the protagonist is has to fight not only against whatever monsters have been conjured or whatever monsters are out there, like someone was talking about zombies being the ultimate kind of like, you know, conformist, you know, everyone is the same. And then we got to fight against that stuff in order to break that trend. And, you know, Romero, you know, jumped on it big time. It's like the idea is like everyone being one and the same, everyone driving towards one singular goal, and the loss of identity and the loss of self. And then, of course, we have to fight against that, you know, no matter how bad it may get. And then his commentary that even in the fight against such things, we still are you know, like shackled by our tribalistic ideologies. The death of Ben at the end of that movie. Just like in this one, the protagonist is left. It's very nihilistic in that sense. It's almost like Bava was trying to say that this kind of battle, this fight of one culture rising up against the previous culture, that the idea that because he, the last character, the last guy left standing, played really, really well. I loved Urbano Barberini. I loved his work in this. It was very, very nuanced. And one thing that he did, what he conveyed, was the idea. It was almost, you could see the look of, I would say, the boomers when looking at, oh no, it's not baby boomers. I would say like the generation before the boomers, the greatest generation, looking at the counterculture of the 60s and saying, where is everything going? Can we stop this? And almost kind of like that wistful look. It's like, I remember when, you know, an older time when it was this way. And then all of a sudden here comes this push of the next generation. And you just aren't, you can fight it as much as you want, but you're not going to defeat it. And it didn't, you know, it led to other things. And that's what he's got at that very last moment when the survivors come in, they got the Jeep, and they're trying to jump in. And they finds out that the girl, the Hovey, has been infected when she was back in the movie theater. She turns, and then, you know, the dude in the passenger is like, boom, and just blows her away with a fucking shotgun, and she dies in the street. And then they drive off as the demons are filling up the city. It's happening all over the city. And then, of course, they drive off into an uncertain future. This very kind of nihilistic ending where it's like you fought and you won and you escaped. But that's just one battle. The war's not over, and you lost the very thing that you were fighting for in trying to survive.
Just because you cut the chains on the outside doesn't mean that you cut the chains on the inside.
Right. You know, so he kind of has that look on his face as they're driving off. You know, there's look on his face like, we can't win. You know, that almost kind of like existential dread right there is, it's like
just defeat.
What's the point? It's a Pyrrhic victory that even no matter how hard the previous generation tries to fight, the one that's coming up will always push them out. That mode of thinking in that generation will eventually die off, and new modes of thinking will take its place. And they don't want to let it go because they fear that change.
Well,
and
they never will.
And that's, you know, that's why it has to come. You know, that's why it's usually violent, or in this case, it's extremely violent because it's demons. You know, they're like fucking eating people and tearing people apart and shit, and infecting other people, turning them into demons. But still, I love what they did with it as far as like creating the demons themselves. One thing that's really, really cool about this. So like there's that scene when they're in the theater, and you can see like their eyes are like reflecting and shit. And so Bava actually got that idea right in the middle of filming. He was like, we got to do, he's like something. He was like sitting there filming, and he's going like, what can I do? Then all of a sudden it occurs to him, they need to make the eyes glow. So how the hell did they do that? Fucking reflective paper. That was it. Just use reflective paper.
It was
fantastic. And then of course, as long as your lighting is correct, your cinematographer knows what the fuck they're doing. Your DP is like, okay, let's frame this. Let's get some fake smoke in here.
Come down here.
Make it really moody, and then just hit them. Just like eye shine in an animal. It's like that's what they did with this one. They just recreated with the reflective paper around their eyes to get that eye reflect. And I thought that was fucking brilliant.
They did it great. They didn't focus on it too much. It wasn't like over the top. No, it was perfect. It was great. And then, you talking about this stuff, and in my head, I'm thinking, man, this is every single generation. It's never been any different. It will always be the same. We're going to fight the people before us, and we're going to be like, yeah, we're better than you. And then we get to their point where they were when we started the fight. We're like, man, they had a really good fucking point. And then, you live the rest of your life like, man, I should have listened. And I feel like that's just,
it's just cyclical.
It's crazy that you can come up with a movie that portrays that using demons and people locked in a fucking movie theater.
That's what's brilliant
about the story.
It's what's brilliant about the horror genre is how it reflects our society, how it reflects the kind of anxieties of what what a particular culture deal with. And even though this was an Italian produced film, Dario Argento producing, Lamberto Bava at the helm, complete Italian production, no outside influence. And then, of course, you turn around and you look at what's going on in America. You look at what's going on all over the place, and the themes are the same. These themes are concurrent. They're universal throughout humans, and how one generation gives rise as you have new thought because you have more people, more exchange of ideas, and then the resulting we are more connected communication wise. Nowadays we have the internet and the world's knowledge right in your pocket. And
that's the only difference.
But that's true.
At the core, it's the exact same thing.
The modes of it is right. There was because in the you talk about it in the 60s, it was music.
Yeah.
Because as radio technology expanded, more music and more variety of music as radio development got cheaper, and everybody could have a radio in their car or in their home. And so eventually even portable radios. And then all of a sudden the technology is cheap, more communication, more music is out there. And we get more music influence from the Beatles and, Elvis and the Jackson 5 and so on. So, hip hop and pop. And then we have that which fuels the generation. And what you have is an increase in technology or an increase in radio technology. And then all of a sudden you've got Woodstock.
Right.
The same thing goes along here. The increase in internet technology, the increase in communication of the internet, and all of a sudden you have the
Week in Horror podcast,
the Arabian Spring.
Week in Horror. Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. But that's the only thing that changes is the technology, and that's never going to stop changing. Whether that be go all the way up and start over, or keep going forever. And I think at my age, where I'm at, you've been here. I don't know if it was the same for you, but I'm hitting that point where it's like, man, things are a lot different than I thought they were going to fucking be. Like, I realized that my parents were still growing up while I was growing up. And it's just like, there's so much that goes on that you didn't realize when you were a kid, that it's like existential. It's that existential feeling that you get in the movie is like, you're really just driving towards the end anyways, kid. So have fun while you're doing it. And, that kind of comes to a crashing halt in your 30s.
That's why I dug why the mastermind behind the whole story and everything. The mastermind of this was the masked guy, the guy with that
guy with the metal mask.
Yeah, the guy with the metal mask. Because it was a faceless entity. Even though even at a point that his face is kind of revealed, and you're like this, but still that's how he presents himself when he's in the subway. And he's and he gives them the tickets to the movie. And it's like this shadowy figure kind of in the dark, underground with the mask on. And it's kind of like that's essentially what they look at is these nameless, faceless entities that are just like caricatures that are driving the change that they see in their society and in their culture. They see their culture dying at the hands of these entities that are just caricatures. They're just these faceless things are just put up there and paraded, and they're not really real, but they are. And it's kind of like, you
Congress.
It's essentially a personification of an idea. And they can't fight that. You can't fight Elvis Presley. You can't fight the Beatles. I mean, Sure, you could probably get in a fight with John Lennon.
I mean,
if you met him in real life,
shoot a couple of them,
but you can't fight you can't fight the symbolism there, and that's what that figure symbolizes. The nameless, faceless ideology of the unknown, coming from nowhere, coming from underground, where you least expect it, giving you things and seducing you to this new kind of ideology, this new way of living and thinking, and it becomes infectious. Hence, the demons that run roughshod through the city.
It's hard talking about this movie because it's not like, I mean, it was a good movie, like it's worth a watch, but it's not like it was like a super influential movie. But thinking about it, it's like, man, this is how it is right now. You've got a group of nameless, faceless people leading movements, and people are blindly following, and those people can become dangerous if they don't, think for themselves and just follow what's right in front of you. And there's a group of people that are going to fight back, and it's like, and at the end of it, I guess my whole point is like, does fighting it in the end, does that feel good? Was that right? Does that make you feel better? Or should you have just gone along with the pack and been, happy and not have to think for yourself? Like, you have to make that choice at some point in your life. Everybody does. And, fighting against it's hard. But at the end of it, you're still an individual free thinker, and you have that left. Do you want it? Is it worth it to you? You tell me, and then you choose.
But you see, there's the juxtaposition, though. The juxtaposition is that those who have, they have what's the word I'm looking for? Well, they've conformed. You have those individuals who have conformed to the system. They live within the system. They work within the system. They're a part of the system.
Essentially, they are the system.
Yeah, you have the counterculture that rises up against that, saying, no, there has to be another way. And then they smash boundaries and they break through. But if everybody thinks differently, if everybody is against one thing, then they themselves have conformed to an idea.
I know, isn't that?
And so they
liberalism
in turn become They in turn become the next generation who had their ideology, pushed out the old one, but then a new one comes up. And
then it's just normal.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't want to conform, but we're all conforming to the idea that we don't want to conform.
We want rock and roll,
and that's why you say that all of the demons themselves are their own identity.
Yeah, they're the only ones that are actually individual.
And then, then you got to ask: is it a commentary on that the individuals, the demons themselves, that they are representing the new counterculture, rising up against the old regime? Are they, because they're demons, they're mindless, they're wild, they kill at will, and they infect others? Are they even aware that they represent, in and of themselves as a group, the very thing they're trying to topple?
Well,
or are they mindless and they don't get it?
But that's the thing, is like, if you're on that end of things, you're thinking the same way that I'm thinking about you. Like, it goes on both sides. People will push so hard. They will absolutely know in their heart of hearts that they're fucking right. And you could be like, that is absolutely wrong. And you are just as bad as they are, because, you're pushing back on the same thing that they are. These people believe that what they are doing is what they are supposed to be doing. And that's the easiest way to do it. That's absolutely believe this. Thing. So I'm not doubting anything. I doubt everything. I'm so fucking skeptical of air, and like that. It leads to so many things. I'm at a point now where I just kind of let it go, because people will just fucking argue until their ears turn blue. But I'll be like, I'll look at something now and I'll be like, you know what? That's his fucking opinion, and who the fuck am I to be like, you're wrong? Because then I'm in myself and just doing what I'm telling him not to do. So, yeah, it's a big circle, and it like you said, the demons at the end, are they themselves their own enemies? Thine own enemies?
Well, I wouldn't say that they're own enemies, but they don't recognize that they are becoming that which they are fighting against. Because in order to fight against the previous ones, in order to band together and create a force big enough to take down the top of one, you have to come together and create an ideology that counters that, which essentially you're just replacing one ideology with the next. Even if
here's an individual.
Exactly.
You're stupid. Hey, come with me and tell this guy he's stupid.
So we're all united. Stupid. We all united to say that the previous guys are stupid, and we're all united by the fact that we're saying that they're stupid. And then they're saying, so yeah, it's cyclical. And I think that there was. And that's why
George Washington's skepticism of the two-party system.
That's why I love Italian horror, because there is a poetry to it that I think that you can see, and especially big movies like Suspiria and fucking Dario Argento's Three Mothers thematic trilogy, is that there is a poetry to it, and I think that is the kind of echoes of the Renaissance. That there's this drive to have a kind of like, if you're talking about like Shakespeare with iambic pentameter, that there is a way of speaking that this will never die. That this is how you do Shakespeare. And so, and I think with Italian horror, there is still, no matter what it is, whether it's someone said, whether it's someone mentioned Ruggero. Let me see. He was talking about the director of Cannibal Holocaust, and how even to that there is a kind of melody to the notes of the film. Where the staccato is, where things kind of like diminuendo, and then the big crescendo at the end. There's an almost musical poetry to it, like there is to the Italian language. And I think it's just a matter of of how Italians express themselves culturally, and you see that, and that's why I love Italian horror film, because I can kind of hear those notes behind the action on the screen. I see we got some new people who jumped in. I want to make sure that we say hi to them. Let's see. I saw NA in the house. Good to see you. It says bacon and beer. Excellent. And I try to miss anybody up here. NA's in the house. Wrote a no last name. Said hello. And see, plot hole says sorry, everyone's still stuck at work. All good, dude. I think we got it handled.
Damn it, Johnny. Dude, after this shit show, it was good that we got two people in the same place at the same time.
Right, I know. And Skooma Cat, I think Skooma Cat was lurking for a minute. And then, let's see. Oh, Frank being Frank. Frank being Frank is in the house. Good to see you.
Hello.
And Travis Brown.
I'm sure people have seen this already, but I was on the internet earlier. And
Mr. Malort. Sorry. Mr. Malort is in the house. Good to see you.
Somebody on the internet, I think it was on TikTok or whatever they call that nowadays, those damn kids. No, but they get on there and he's like, I'm sure everybody's seen these videos already, but apparently it was like a trend. He's like, I don't know what HD is, but the doctor just called and said I had 80 of them. Like ADHD. It was the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen. I was like, man, maybe these kids are kind of onto something.
Donnie does that's in the house. Good to see you, Donnie. Donnie does that. Angie says, recently I realized that my parents never knew shit. They were still learning too. I finally seen it when I realized that they still don't know shit.
I was gonna say, I still get phone calls sometimes, and I'm like, it's gonna be okay. Like what?
Hell yes. Oh, right. And then Surf says, one day these streams will have over 1,000 people in the chat, and JL will still try to say hello to every single one of them. That's because I love all you guys. I don't want anybody to feel like they got left out. Okay, I love every single one of you for even spending 10 minutes listening to me bullshit about fucking movies. I mean, that takes more love than I think I deserve. It really, really does. to hear me drone on. There's JL talking about horror movies again. Even Alex is like, yeah, I know.
Hey, no, I was in the background. I could see the whole time.
Alex is like every fucking week I listen to this shit.
I used to work with them guys. It wasn't just this. No,
we actually worked in person. We worked at the same company. We were on project teams together.
We spent like every day together for a while.
Dude, fucking hell. God, that was so long ago. That's fucking wild. Travis Brown says, watch The House by the Cemetery. Ooh, nice choice. House by the Cemetery from Lucio Fulci. It's a weird one, but God, that's a good one.
The cinematography in that, though, just sitting there watching, you could just turn the sound off and watch the visuals in that. It's great. I had a question. There's a Italian vampire movie, and I cannot fucking for the life of me remember. It was black and white, so it was old. And it was a woman that was a vampire, and they were in like a department store, like a Sears, a lot. And if anybody has any idea what the fuck I'm talking about, let me know. It was one of the best Italian horror movies I've ever seen, and I could not find the fucking name for it. I was watching, it was on like TV late night one night, and it was fantastic. Years ago.
I don't know. I have to look into it. I'll have to dive into it.
It was so good.
All right. So since we chatted about this one, let's jump to the CTA. We talked a bit about the history of demons, the history of Lamberto Bava and Dario Argento and Italian horror, and the influence of that time, especially considering Italy's kind of role in the world And they had some dark times. They had some, some good times. But you can see that influence in how they speak. But I love the influence of the Renaissance, how that's still that kind of ideology, just, that I would say that atmosphere of that kind of like new age thinking of the push into science and then romanticism. I love how that still is a thing, that still is an influential thing in Italy today, which is amazing. But I want to ask the audience, just straight up, easy CTA tonight, what is your favorite Italian horror film? There are so many. But yeah, let us know in the live chat or in the comments below. What's your favorite Italian horror film? And maybe even if you have, maybe even not a film, if you have a favorite director. I'm a big Fulci fan. I'm also I say Fulci because I love his gory work, but I really love Argento. I love Argento's work and just what he brought to it and the level of dedication he had as a director and a producer. I loved his effect. You could feel his presence. It's kind of like watching Poltergeist. It's directed by Tobe Hooper, but you can feel the essence of Spielberg all throughout that movie.
Right.
And the way shots were lined up and the way the family interacted with each other, how they capture those moments, that's Spielberg to a T. That's not Hooper. That's Spielberg. So, and you can feel like I love Italian horror. I don't get to watch it as often as I'd like because I'm more often watching American horror. But love
There's so fucking much of it nowadays.
Oh yeah,
man, they got some cool stuff coming out. Rosemary's Bambino.
I see, Mr. Blord. I think it's Suspiria. Suspiria was a fantastic one. Of I Vampiri. I don't speak Italian.
Vampire, I don't fucking speak Italian.
I Vampire, released 1957.
I wonder if they were talking about the movie I was talking about. Hold on. Yeah, go ahead. I mean,
maybe that's it. Maybe that is it. Released in 1957.
It was definitely a 50s era. Hold on. I'm looking it up.
Oh, Frank being Frank says, as a horror fan, I'm embarrassed to say I've never seen an Italian horror film. But this is a good thing. This is an excellent thing because that just means there is an entire world, an entire genre subgenre that you have not tapped yet. And that means you get to tap it now. You can start in any way. If you want to start with the Italian versions of the Universal Monsters, the Italian versions of Hammer Horror. If you want to go with the Italian, take on cannibals or, superstitious stuff, whoever you dive into, you cannot go wrong. Now, some of it, I'll be honest, it's just like American horror. Some of it is cringe as fuck.
Oh God, yeah.
Okay, some of it is cringe, but some of them are fucking breathtakingly.
Some of them are really good.
Some of them are fucking scary. Some of them are just breathtakingly beautiful in their composition and how they're shot. And you just got to admire how they...
All of them are low budget.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. Tony Regina, I think the only Italian horror I've seen is the same vampire film that Alex saw. And I can't remember the name either.
See, and the George said Blood and Black Lace was amazing. So many good things. And anything Godfather.
I mean...
Favorite Italian horror
movie? Wrong.
Casper, the Friendly Goomba. We're going to get in trouble. We go with that. La Exorcista. Yes, a lot of Italian horror. See, actually, this is really, really interesting. Oh, yeah. Oh, Angie says Japanese horror. J-horror is the shit. You are correct. And Mr. Lord says a lot of Italian horror seems like two movies cut together.
It always does.
And there's a reason. There's actually a reason for that. Is because to save on money, oftentimes films use the same sets at the same time, or they will use like actors be working on multiple projects at the exact same time. They were working in the same place, so you actually get a lot of overlap between movies, which can almost seem like you're watching the same movie but in a different movie, which is really, really wonky. But this was just a matter of a lack of production area, because in Italy, it's not like at the time there weren't like massive production studios dedicated to this like there were in America, in like La La Land and New York, where they have entire areas, entire districts that are devoted solely towards entertainment, production studios, production houses. And Italy is a little bit different because they just were kind of lagging along behind. So they worked with what they had. They typically worked out of people's homes. They typically worked. They would set up like really, really fast, like mobile offices that they could run production out of, and a lot of the actual sets were mobile as well. And if they ever used like an actual like stage or like an area they had to prep, it typically was private property owned by somebody that they paid money to, and then that person would loan out their stuff. But there wasn't a lot. So you would get the same stuff and the same actors and the same people, the same kind of vibe throughout the entire production and through multiple productions, which would result in kind of that kind of overlap that he's hinting at, which is really, really interesting. You know, they did the best with what they had.
They did a fantastic job with what they had, honestly. I mean, if you really look at some of the stuff that came out, and I know that a couple people now, it looks like they have seen that movie that I'm talking about, and it was just some budget ass, like, you could tell they had $5 to make the movie, and they did it, you know, and they did it though. It's the passion that they have for the art, and it's cool to see people who don't have the budgets like Hollywood, because it's all about money and politics, and it's got to be, you know, you have a group of people every single day that they know this equipment, they know how to use it well in a way that makes their passion for what they're doing really shine. And it shows from even when film started over there. I don't think film really started over there until a little bit later. I know I've seen some stuff out of like the late 30s, maybe early 40s out of Italy, but you know, going back in the 50s, it's kind of still pretty new to them, and they still push through. And, you know, to this day, you can tell that they're still coming up with more ideas, good ideas, and really still putting the passion into it. And it's not diluted by shit like, you know, like American Hollywood money, which is cool. And that's what makes it good.
So see, Travis Brown says low budget movies really makes horror movies more scary than big budget movies. I have to agree with that. Chris Durham Music Channel said there are about 3 movies that use footage from first spaceship on Venus. I would not doubt that. As a matter of fact, I would actually hazard there might be more. You know, you use what you have access to. And of course, let me see. And where did it go? He said, Frank said, I totally agree. Some of my favorite horror is low budget. Big productions seem to try too hard, and they do. Sometimes they do, and they end up relying on something like, you know, the one that really kind of bummed me out was, I'm a big fan of Jeffrey Dean Morgan as an actor. I like his work. I especially liked him as vegan, I liked him as Negan in The Walking Dead. But I've liked his other stuff as well. He's a good dude who can go in multiple directions. I liked him in Supernatural. I like the movies that he's done.
Even in like in the Losers, you know, he can do whatever he wants to do. And that's my wife is obsessed with him, bro. Like, I'm sorry, I gotta throw it in there. Every time he comes on the screen, she's like, I'm like, you fucking like that shit.
And it turns around, but then, you know, the movie The Unholy came out, and it was, you know, you have this talent, you have these amazing people that you're working with, and not a bad script, and it descended into reliance on jump scares, which really depressed. I was like, why? You didn't need to. You could have gone atmospheric with this because it was creepy. It was rural, countryside. You have the unscrupulous journalist who was found faking his leads so he could, get rise to fame as a journalist. Then he gets found out, and now he's disgraced, and he stumbles upon a real, supernatural event. It could make his career again. And and then the girl who's being used by a demon who's pretending to be, the Virgin Mary. And it was this is interesting. This could be some, this could be some fucking, good. There's psychological shit that could go back to The Omen, that could go back to Rosemary's Baby, that could go back to The Exorcist. You had an opportunity with the technology today to shoot a really, really solid film that would almost pay homage to this kind of atmospheric horror, especially atmospheric religious horror, which is where the horror in religion comes from, is from the atmosphere, the brooding atmosphere, the existential dread of what comes after. And you could have had that, but no, we got to have ghosties jumping at the screen like every 5 fucking minutes. And that was just so disheartening. I was like, come on, you people are better than this.
Yeah. Well,
but nonetheless, I digress.
Probably need some fucking money.
Yeah, this is true. Oh, Travis Brett says, anyone need to watch Watchmen because Jeffrey Dean Morgan is in it. Yes, and he was great as comedian. I thought he was fantastic. Let me see. It says, the reason I like the old, Chris Durham says, the reason I like the old Vincent Price stuff is that it's basically dialogue and acting. Exactly. Vincent Price, Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee. That right there is the heart of Hammer horror. These guys, and sometimes it was over the top. Sometimes it was kind of like, ha! It was like a silver bullet. And it's like, it's big and it's amazing. It's theatrical. Like this is how you would be on stage. These are classically trained theater actors. And they're bringing their shit to the horror genre, which is where it works. It's big. It's over the top. It's loud. It's big giant close-ups of Christopher Lee and his big fucking eyes and shit. And It's great stuff, and I love that. I love that stuff, and but it puts the focus on the actor, the director, the cinematographer. Can you set a fucking scene? Can you direct your people, and do your actors actually know how to fucking act? You know, that's why I love that.
I mean, absolutely. But nobody's ever going to catch up to Christopher Lee. He witnessed the last guillotine execution. Nobody will ever be that fucking insane.
No one will ever be as cool as Christopher Lee. This is true. The actual inspiration for James Bond.
Yeah. No, he's an amazing dude, and not everybody's like that. But you do get those few that really make this pop. Yeah. I'm sorry. I started thinking about low budget horror.
Oh,
if anybody, okay. I saw a movie called Before I Wake. I don't know. I slept on it, I guess. I didn't even fucking see it. It's 2016. It was great. If you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix. Check it out. We should talk about it.
Tony Regime. Yeah. All those classic Dennis Wheatley stories were a staple of Hammer. Fucking hell. Oh, it just takes me back. Great stuff. All right, but yes, definitely let us know what is your favorite Italian horror, or say Italian horror director, whichever you prefer. Let us know in the comments below, or hit us up at weekinhorror@gmail.com. We'd love to hear what you think. All right, Alex, you want to pick up this next one, or?
Man, I don't have notes for this next one. You go ahead on this one. I'll take.
You don't have notes for this one?
I've got some notes, but if you've got the director and stuff,
I would have thought you would have fucking loved this movie.
I do. Just get the director and stuff. We'll talk about it.
It's so bad. It's so
no.
It's one of those. I wanted so badly to love this movie. Released October 5th, 1990. We have the animal horror film Shakma, also known as Panic in the Tower. I'm glad they dropped that fucking name.
Which makes no fucking sense.
Yes, directed by Hugh Parks and Tom Logan. Screenplay by Roger Engel, starring Christopher Atkins, Amanda Weiss, Ari Myers, and Roddy McDowell. Roddy, fucking Planet of the Apes, Roddy McDowell, and Fright Night, Roddy McDowell, and then fucking Amanda Weiss from, or that might be Weiss, but I think it's Amanda Weiss from fucking Nightmare on Elm Street.
Fucking lineup.
Yeah, she was Tina in Nightmare on Elm Street, and then of course Christopher Atkins. All of them, pedigree names, but to break this one down, I had to give the pedigree of the actors. These are these are great actors who owe a horror pedigree. Okay. Okay. So the story follows a group of med students who one night decide to play a LARP. They decide to LARP Dungeons and Dragons. So one of the guys is their dungeon master, and he creates this campaign that they can LARP out in the building. So in the building, they go out and they're going to do this LARP session one night. Unfortunately, in one of the labs is this baboon, this laboratory baboon is
fucking hate monkeys.
They've been doing experiments on named Shakma. Okay, and Shakma, by virtue of the experiments, has been driven insane, and Shakma breaks loose and then starts hunting down all of the stupid LARPers who are just running around doing their thing. And then, of course, it winds up in this cataclysmic battle. One thing I got to say one thing I like about this movie is the animal action. This is the one thing I really like. They used a real baboon. The baboon's name was Typhoon. He was an extremely well-trained, I don't want to mess up the pronunciation of the name, because he wasn't a Shakma baboon. He was the other one. Shakma baboons look different and they're a little bit smaller. But this one was I just want to make sure I pronounce it, a Hamadryas baboon. And the Hamadryas baboon is the one with the big tufty mane. It comes out like the upper body, like it's all tufty and everything, and then down low.
You got the blue and the red and the.
No, that's that's a mandrill.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's a different one. Yeah, but
they're all monkeys to me. I know they're primates.
But I loved Shakma in this. I loved the work of the other. This was some of the best animal action I'd seen in a while. What made this one good was, unlike a movie like Cujo, is with that movie you had a combination of things. You had dogs, you had multiple Saint Bernards that played Cujo, right. And then you had puppet dogs, and then you had puppet dogs, and then you had a guy in a dog suit.
Right.
For doing some of the more violent action. Whereas in this one, all of it, except for the final scene where Shakma is inevitably killed, because you got to kill the evil monkey. where Shakma dies. Other than that scene, all of the action was the baboon.
Yeah, and that was the only good thing about the fucking movie.
That was pretty much it, because that baboon was intimidating as fuck. I understand why Amanda was fucking terrified of it. Because that was the big thing on set. She would not be in the same room as the fucking baboon. Everyone loved it, and apparently, according to the production journals, Typhoon was a blast. He was a fun monkey. He was like, play around, do this deal like this. He responded to his trainer. He was smart, never got out of control, never hurt anybody. Beautifully done. You always say never work with children and animals because animals are unpredictable. But Typhoon was amazing, but Amanda was just fucking terrified of him. And it was just like, no, don't want to be here. No, giant monkey. No, I think it was probably the canines on that fucker because they're like 3 inches. They're almost like 3 inches, dude. They're fucking huge.
I'm just looking up a statistic real quick. I'm sorry.
Oh, on that particular species of baboon?
Kind of. Hold on. Let me see.
While he's looking that up, someone mentioned Christopher Atkins. Oh, yes, where Christopher Atkins from the Blue Lagoon battles a crazy baboon. That's pretty much it. It was good stuff. But
no, it really is. I'm sorry. I had to look up how many people get killed a year by baboons alone, and it's over 100 people a year. They're fucking dangerous. And
they're dangerous.
It shows, that's a good acting monkey. He's like good. Like you said, he never got out of hand or anything, but they portrayed him as terrifying. And baboons are fucking terrifying. They'll rip your face off. Like, it happens.
It's no joke. Yeah. And Alpha Kid 91 says, no, animals and kids are scene stealers. They can be professional or difficult. I've seen both. And agreed. They can be.
Yeah.
And
I've worked with a lot of animals. You think they're the greatest thing in the world. And then I've had a horse that I've been around for a long, its whole life. And still will randomly just bite the shit out of me. And it's like, you don't know. They could just snap. And something like a baboon or a horse could kill a person instantly.
There are pictures of Typhoon riding on the back of his trainer's motorcycle with him. Like he would just travel around with him, be like,
I'm surprised you don't have
big ass
that
baboon. It's like this big ass baboon just kind of hanging on the back of the motorcycle with his trainer. It's good stuff, but the movie in and of itself, and I'm sitting there looking at it, it's like you have okay, so obviously I guess D&D the reason D&D was used, I think, is because at the time D&D was a hot topic.
1990, yeah, it was coming up real hot.
D&D was a hot topic. Parents were against it.
That's why Dungeons and Dragons is in Stranger Things. Like that was such a hot thing at that time, during the time period.
Now, this isn't like, Nancy Reagan. This isn't like Reagan shit in the 80s where Nancy was like all up against, these kinds of cultures thinking that, and there was the thinking that D&D led to satanic behavior and shit like this, but it was a hot topic. So I think that's what they used, simply just to, what are the kids going to do? What are the med students going to do? Well, let's let them do this. It was just, so I think that's why it was so unfamiliar. And it was like, I didn't like it because it didn't look like any of the actors were like familiar with D&D. And they just kind of like did their thing. It was almost like watching Mazes and Monsters.
Oh,
you remember that with Tom Hanks? It was like, we're gonna do a movie about the evils of D&D. Especially when they affect people who have mental illness. But we're gonna do this movie, but no one knows it, and no one gets it. I know they use graph paper.
They went to ask their kids, and their kids didn't want to tell them like the truth because they didn't want to get in trouble because sometimes it is a little risque. So they lied to them, and then they used that lie to make the movie. And so that's what they thought. It's what it seems like. And that's the thing is like the actors it's not terrible acting. It's just like the roles weren't for these people.
It felt very lazy. It felt very lazy. Like we have professional actors. They know what they're doing. They know their crap. They know how to deliver lines. The writing was
lazy as shit.
And the writing was lazy as well. It's just like we need a reason to do this. So the D&D angle felt forced. The actors kind of looked lost when they were trying to engage in this. It was almost like, like every single one of them when they were trying to do their character stuff for the LARP, it was like watching kids doing, a stage production. Is like, I'm a knight, and like it was kind of like, come on, guys. You know what I mean? At least come at it a little bit better than this. But hey, man, it's a fucking paycheck. It's a horror movie. Not a lot of people saw it. The movie was a bomb. It didn't do well, but it's got a little bit of a cult following now. And I think it solely rests upon the animal itself because Shakma, especially the way the cinematographer worked in this, I thought it was absolutely brilliant. And that was Andrew Bieber. Andrew Bieber the way he captured scenes, the way he used light, and the way he used light, and the way he used the kind of like the sterile nature of the medical building that they're in, the medical complex that they're currently in, that they're currently locked in for the night, because that's why they can't escape the building. But they have the very sterile nature of it, and the way he used moonlight coming through the windows in order to frame Shakma and make him look even more terrifying in specific scenes. And of course, just how fast these animals really, really are made it even worse. Yeah. And so I really, really enjoy. That's why, I mean, and it ended on the note. Well, we don't know if Atkins' character is going to survive at the end, because he's fucked up. Like, you know, before he got Shakma in the incinerator and managed to kill him, and now he's like, and I think I can't remember what it was going off memory here. I can't remember what his last fucking line was. It was so unfair. It was so forgettable. I don't recall it. But I just remember him sitting there with a look on his face, and he's like, and Shock was like that was the only time they used the puppet, was when it was in the incinerator. It's like, you know, banging against the wall and everything. You can kind of see its face a little bit. And then it just kind of fucking, that's where it ended. So it was kind of a nihilistic ending. It was a kind of a downer. Yeah, Shock was dead, but so was everybody else. So was probably going to die too. Roddy McDowell dies like a third of the way through the movie.
Right in the beginning.
Because like, I was just here for the paycheck, you know, and that was obvious. You don't put a name.
He was on a plane before they cut the next scene for sure.
Exactly. He's kind of like, yeah, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to get smoked, and that's pretty much it. When you bring in names like that, you got from a big chunk. I'm willing to bet that that's why now, if you notice something about it, and this is all about money, okay? Go back and you'll go back in your memory and think about the building itself. Think about what was in the building. Like, think about, like, this is supposed to be a medical complex. What was in it? Like, what did you see? What do you remember?
No.
Did you see instruments everywhere? Did you see computers everywhere? Did you see all the the technology and equipment that they would use in the You don't see anything. You see scant pieces, white walls, white tables. It was all it was. I mean, the building itself was characterless, and they needed it because the building that they shot in was a renovated building that was not built. Essentially, it was office spaces. That's all it was.
It makes so much more sense.
And you can't spend money to set dress when all your money's going to fucking Roddy McDowell to give your movie some credibility at the box office.
And then he fucking dies.
And then he dies with I mean, that's what it is. He's not going to be through the whole thing. It's just literally he's going to show up, he's going to give some credibility, say Roddy McDowell lines, and then die. And then he can go off, he can collect his paycheck, and then they have to, carry on the rest of the film. But that's, you see this all the time. When names are brought in for credibility, and unfortunately they don't have the money, it's either pay for the credibility or pay to make your movie look good. And because you have an excellent animal actor, Typhoon was an amazing monkey, his trainer was incredible, and you have some decent talent. You've got Tina from Nightmare on Elm Street, you've got Chris, Atkins from Blue Lagoon. So you have, some credit right there. Now you just need to make it scary. Well, the monkey bouncing around white rooms with nothing in them, killing idiots. I mean, sure, it makes the blood stand out. I mean, that became very, very obvious, when everything is white. Oh, blood splash all over the white walls and shit. It's like, that's great, but it got boring, and we kind of knew where it was going to go, and it ended kind of on a nihilistic tone. There was no message here. It wasn't even we shouldn't experiment on animals because they might go crazy and kill us while we're LARPing D&D. There was no message here. It was just a lab monkey got out and killed a bunch of people, killed a bunch of stupid fucking their med students. What the fuck? I hope I hope this isn't representative of the people who are actually in our medical industry, because that's really disturbing.
It's not.
These kids were dumb. They were fucking dumb.
It was like they were written to die, and that's not how you have a good character. I mean, a couple of them, yes, but like when you've got a group of people like that, there has to be more storyline. It's just not like, dead. There's no plan. I mean, they kind of try to come up with but yeah, no, it's pretty terrible. It's not even honestly worth your fucking time.
Yeah. I was seeing in the live chat they were talking about that event where that lady was attacked by her chimpanzee, or it was either her chimpanzee or a friend's chimpanzee. I think it was a friend's chimpanzee attacked her and tore her face off.
What's her face? Nash.
That's very poor choice of words.
What? Me?
No, because you said what's her face.
Oh fuck.
was like very poor choice of words, but I think she was attacked by her friend's chimpanzee, and you tore her face off and really messed her up. I think she had a face transplant.
Yeah, she was. I remember she was all over daytime TV when I'd stay home sick from school.
So felt it. But yeah, I can understand why Amanda was terrified of the baboon, because on the chimps, they kind of have a friendly demeanor. They kind of gives their faces, and you can kind of recognize they have the ears. They make the cute little noises. Hamadryas baboons don't do that.
No.
Okay, they're tall. They can stand. They've got upper body. They got long arms, the big fucking mane, long ass snout with those big ass fucking teeth. Right. So they definitely look more animal than they do primate in that respect. And so there you go. I mean, I can understand why she was afraid of them. And of course, chimpanzees are fucking dangerous. Nerd Journal. Hey, Nerd Journal's in the house. Good to see you, Nerd Journal. Yes, Alpha Canada won. She got a face transplant. So really poor choice of words. that was just bad. And yes, Angie, have you seen Key and Peele's skit on pitching the first and second Gremlins movie? Yes, that was hilarious. That was brilliant. You mean like a bat? It's like a bat. So yeah, but we've talked a bit about this one. I mean, this is a guilty pleasure for me. I kind of dig the movie Shakma. I like it for the animal horror. I dig animal horror films. Orca, Grizzly, Prophecy, movies like this. I've always entertained me, and Jaws, especially, or a number of other, ocean movies, woods movies, doesn't matter. I always dig how they do, because I want to see how they're doing it and if they're doing it right. And of course, sometimes they come off as really, really goofy, like that horror show Zoo, where the animals all turned on humanity. That was so cheaply done. A lot of green screens that was just goofy. But sometimes they're done really, really well. Like, the movie The Bear, which is really a horror film, but is seriously a dramatic movie. And I like movies like this that use real animals and use them that respect them and use them correctly. So I want to ask another simple CTA. We'll ask to everybody in the audience, what is your favorite animal horror film? So let us know in the live chat or down in the comments below if you're listening when this goes live on Sunday. Let us know in the comments, what is your favorite animal horror film? What's the one that you always go back to? Like if you see it on TV, you're going to stop and watch it. We'd like to know. You can shoot us let us know there, or shoot us an email, weekinhorror@gmail.com. Angie says she got a new haircut and the chimp didn't recognize her. She called her friend over to help her get him inside, and he ended up looking at her like she was a threat. The 911 audio it's pretty fucking insane. I remember hearing that at one point. It's pretty crazy. Ooh, Travis Brown, Monkey Shines. Yes, about the quadriplegic dude who makes a telepathic link with this helper monkey, and the helper monkey ends up going and killing people and shit because it reads his anger and his rage and situation, starts taking it out on the people that piss him off. Oh, I remember that was a good one. Oh yeah. Oh, Jinju, Night of the Killer Shrews. Fucking hell, good times. Oh, plot hole, Birdemic. Fucking ridiculous. That's crazy. So many good ones. Cujo's a personal favorite of mine. I really love Jaws. Tony Regime says Zoltan, Hound of Dracula. Very cool. Very cool. Oh, Alpha Canada 1. Ben. That would be the sequel to Willard. Very cool. All good stuff. Willard was good too. And the George says, favorite Congo, easily. Campy, funny, and kind of scary. Scariest Cujo. It's so terrifying, especially since I've always had large dogs. I had large dogs that could easily kill me. Yeah, Cujo is one of my favorites. I absolutely love that one. I love it for the dog, for the dogs, for the Saint Bernard they used it. And I love it for D. Wallace, because D. Wallace was just absolutely transcendent in that film. Just gut wrenching. CPM, oh, good to see you. CPM says The Birds. Awesome. Angie says, I felt bad laughing, but damn it, but it sounded hella fake. Oh, she's talking about the 911 call for the chimp attack.
Oh,
that's pretty bad. Donnie Dustin says, terrible. Night of the Lepus. Fucking A.
Wow, yeah.
Night
absolutely.
of the Lepus. Oh, another one? Kingdom of the Spiders.
Bro.
William Shatner, man. Fucking hell.
They're like everywhere.
Yes. Oh, yes. In A Night of the Shrews. What was it? Oh, wait. Night of the Killer Shrews. She used to love the furs on dogs for the shrews. How they made the shrews look bigger than they were. It's great stuff. Oh, Alpha Candy one says there was another one with a mutant Tibetan Mastiff that was Cujo-esque. That would be go ahead.
Max 3000
from Man's Best Friend.
Yeah.
Yep.
We did a bloodbath Cujo versus Max. Pretty good one.
Oh, CPM says spiders, no, please. So many good ones out there. Arachnophobia
was fucking great.
Oh, it's fucking amazing. Arachnophobia was good.
Eight-Legged Freaks was fucking hilarious.
Eight-Legged Freaks, Kingdom of the Spiders, Itsy Bitsy was a good one.
Yep.
Oh dang. Oh god, yeah, Big Ass Spider. Big Ass Spider was fantastic. Big Ass Spider was great. It has arguably one of the greatest intros I've ever seen to a movie.
Yeah, that was good.
Just him with the devastation of the city and that cover of Pixies Where's My Mind. I just thought it was just like he's like looking around at the destruction and it's just like playing his head. It was fucking great. That was just an underrated movie. Mike Mendez is brilliant. I've got to get him on the show. I'm friends with him on Facebook. I gotta get him on the show sometime if he's free.
Why don't you send him a message?
I did. I said, hey Mike, we gotta get you on the show.
To which he said, fuck no.
Oh, Anna says, JL, I vaguely remember Giant Killer Rabbit movie back in the 80s. That would be Night of the Lepus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we covered that one.
Did we cover Night of the Lepus?
I think so. I think it was real early.
I don't know if we covered. Maybe we did. Maybe we did cover that. I'd have to go back to it. I mean, fucking 3 seasons, man.
Yeah. I feel like that was probably a long time ago.
Oh, Nerd Journal says, I vote we talk the Weekend Horror crew into playing some Phasmophobia on stream sometime for Halloween. Well, that's on Alex here. That's on the man who's handling our digital darkness on YouTube.
Upgrading technologies one step at a time. We'll get there.
We will get there.
I tried Smite the other day just to see if we could push the limits on stuff, and I'm still running a little laggy.
All right, let's jump to our next one. So, Alex, and I have to tell you, I actually watched this one because I had trouble remembering it, and there's not a lot of details online. So I actually watched it again right before I just finished it like 30 minutes before we went live because when
did you see it first? When it first came out?
No. I think it saw this. I think it was on I think it was probably 89, 90. It was on a TV. So I think I can't remember what station it was on, but they had Weekend Horror filmed, and this was one of them.
It was one of the 3 channels that were on TV back when color TVs first came out.
But yeah, you want to take this one?
Yeah, we're talking about the super fun October 7th, 1979 Vampire, which was a
what a title!
Whoa. Which is weird because this is like a made-for-TV horror film directed by E.W. Schwackhammer, co-written and produced by Steve Bochco.
Steven Bochco. Steven Bochco.
I don't know.
Dude, yeah, Steven Bochco is like fucking Hill Street Blues, Dookie Howser, LA Law, fucking NYPD Blue.
The man. On a I don't know. See, whatever. We'll get into that. This was starring Richard Lynch, Jason Miller, E.G. Marshall, Catherine Harrell, Jessica Walter, and Joe Spinell. I actually know Jessica Walter. I didn't really put that together until just now. But anyways, kind of the just quick gist of this plot was a millionaire vampire that ends up being hunted by 2 vampire hunters in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Which 79 in San Francisco, you can kind of guess how this movie went.
It's essentially like it's very much the Dracula story where you have this where you essentially have essentially you have Richard Lynch, who is just a classic. It was a classic character actor. I think, as a matter of fact, I think he passed away in 2012. Fantastic character actor. Actually played a lot of Nazis and a lot of German soldiers because of his look.
Just the way he looks,
yeah, exactly. And then, but playing these kind of characters like debonair, suave. You're the very European look and stylization. So he commonly played. He was in one of the. I think he played the commandant in one of the an SS officer in one of the Puppet Master films. The one that Blade became the which puppet I'm talking about with the Blade and the exactly, yeah. So he played the character who eventually would be become Blade. So in that, so you got his vampire is essentially Dracula. Then you got E.G. Marshall, legendary actor. If people remember him from because this was beforehand. He would later go on to be in Creepshow as Mr. Pratt, who was killed by the cockroaches. Okay, then you've got Jason. He's essentially Van Helsing. He's the old weary guy who has all the details you need, and he's going to lead the hunt and the strategy to take on Dracula. You got Jason Miller from Exorcist fame. He was the younger priest in Exorcist, and he would go on to be in Exorcist 3 as Patient X. And then Jessica Walter, who I'm going to have a legendary career before she passed away. Jessica Walter was, I think, best known as Lucille Bloom in Arrested Development. She was in it. And then, of course, Joe Spinell, who 1 year after this would pretty much cement himself as a horror legend in the movie Maniac.
Yep.
So, I mean, just, and I didn't realize this. Joe Spinell, fucking on, off and on Broadway actor, award, the guy was amazing, an incredibly talented actor. And then he would go, I mean, he did little bit parts or little bit supporting parts. And then, of course, in horror, he was a leading man. But he didn't get to do much as far as film goes. He didn't really make the transition. But the guy was amazingly talented.
And he always picked. He knew what he was good at, and he always, picked and chose. Like you said, he did little parts because he knew what he was good at, and he knew where he belonged, and he did great in all of them.
So the one thing I want to touch on this, despite the fact that it's kind of like a modern kind of like it took the major plot points of Dracula and just put them onto this.
There's so many parts of the movie where I feel like some 80s
well, I mean, the disco scene was kind of badass. There's a scene when they're at the disco. Did you recognize how many bits they took that Fright Night took from this?
Seriously, it was like to the T at some of these things. It was like.
And that's the wild thing I'm getting. The first thing I want to bring up about this, because you even have the epic scene where Jason Miller has to kill his wife who's been turned, by the dragon, by the vampire. Essentially, the vampire pops up like every 30 or so years. He pops up, does some stuff, maintains his money and his wealth, and then he'll pretty much kill, and then he'll disappear. And he'll basically go to ground for like another 3 or 4 decades, then he'll pop back up, and he's pretty much leapfrogging through time. To put the underworld spin on it. And so he comes across so what he does is when he pops up, he pretty much, the way he cultivates his money is in art. So he's an art collector, and art is notoriously a market in which money laundering greatly occurs. So you can make a lot of money, especially if you have really old shit that you've looted through time. So he basically would loot shit. He would join something like that. Like they allude to the possibility that he was with the Nazis.
He was a Nazi again.
And he skimmed off of but he did it so he could skim off their looting, stash that away, and then disappeared so that he could pretty much wait, sleep for the next 3 decades and then come back up and wait for, now the war's over, all's good, let's go get my art, and I can make my millions again, reinvest those. So, and the cycle just keeps continuing.
And
so
then
he's
one day
the
he wakes up and
debonair.
they're trying to fucking dig up his, his
yeah,
ground.
well, the where he's buried, where they put the cross up the thing. So when you put the cross up and the shadow of the cross is causing the ground it's on to cook, that's probably a bad sign.
It's probably an indication to maybe just go fucking anywhere else.
They even recreate the scene where Miller's his last name, it was so obvious. Rollins. Okay, so John Rollins, instead of so John Rollins has to kill his wife, who's been turned, Leslie, played by Catherine Harold. So he finds her dead body. And the reason what happened is he kills her. The vampire kills her because initially when he popped up, they were going to go into business together. He needed Rollins plays pretty much a city engineer, and he needs his help to excavate an old area where he stashed a bunch of his art. And so he was going to you help me dig it up, get the permits and everything. We'll dig up this art. I'll donate a bunch of art. And we'll all make a bunch of money. It'll be fantastic. But the evidence of some of the stuff on his manifest of the art that he has starts sending up red flags. Times have changed. Technology's got a little bit better than it was in the 1920s and the 1930s. So they track some of this stuff as being looted by the Nazis. This throws up red flags, and of course he winds up getting arrested. So the whole deal gets broken up, and it's all fucked. So he gets pissed, and his revenge is to kill his wife. So they recreate the whole scene when Harker has to go down and he discovers Mina, and Mina's been turned and he has to kill Mina. It's a whole big thing. And they go through all of this. Two things. I mean, one, no blood in this movie whatsoever.
No.
None. Not there's no blood anywhere.
Make
Two,
TV, bro.
vampires don't have fangs.
That's true. They never even like worked that into the costume at all. It was just
that's it. The vampires don't have fangs.
That's not the only show or movie to do that though. I've seen that before.
But that would be even worse with no fangs. And they actually say like the throats were ripped open. Yeah, because he's using his bare fucking teeth to do it. He may be strong, but there's no fangs. And then he even has the scene when fucking Rollins is in the when Rollins is in the insane asylum because he's like, oh my god, my wife was killed by a vampire. I can't deal with this shit. So he's in the fucking asylum, and the vampire comes to him. He's like, he's like hypnotizing him, and he leans, and there's like, no fucking fangs, right. No fangs, no blood. But I will say this: in the big final confrontation, when he's hitting him with the crucifix, that was kind of neat because I wasn't expecting that. The whole because I'd either forgotten it or just whatever. I saw it so many years ago when he hits him with the fucking crucifix and it's like squibs going off.
Yeah,
like it's like sparks and shit. I thought that was kind of cool. 1979, that was pretty brilliant. And then you got to consider you have to consider the technology, and I would say consider the cost of this film.
Right.
And the cost of this film was, I mean, at the time, 1979. Virtually all of these are location shooting. Location shots are expensive.
Right.
And so they're driving all over fucking, San Francisco, the Bay Area, to get all these shots. I can imagine how it's been, not to mention Miller, fresh off of The Exorcist. His name is big. You've got Broadway actors in here. You've got Emmy-nominated, Emmy award-winning actors in here. This thing was expensive as fuck.
Oh, for sure.
And not one drop of blood. And no fangs. Although I will admit, him having a car that has a phone in it, that was badass. I actually had to look that up. There's a scene when the car phone, because there's a scene when the girl that they're trying to protect, they don't want her to get killed. She obviously gets grabbed by the vampire, and so he calls E.G. Marshall's Van Helsing character. He calls him from the car phone.
Yeah,
like, this is 79, most likely shot in 78. This technology existed. At the time,
and it was expensive.
It was. And I'm just saying because he's supposed to be super rich, but I'm like, well, how rich is he? Maybe he's just collecting art and he's just all speculative rich. Like, fuck no. Nope. This cat's got cash because I looked into it. The way car phones work then is they had an actual like radio transmitter in the car. And so
I can't believe you didn't know about car phones.
I had to look into it, not this far back. I knew early cell phone technology. But early car phone technology essentially had a custom, this specially designed box that went into your car that contacted a radio tower that was then sent to an operator. The operator would pick up the radio frequency. She'd call the number you were trying to call herself, and then she would connect the radio call to the telephone call for her. She would just link the two together. They just wire the two together. And I'm like, that's fucking brilliant. But you have any idea? In 1979, this technology cost $4,000.
Yeah, dude.
That's $15,000 right now.
It's a car.
I could buy 2 cars for the cost of that phone in 79. So I just had to throw it out there. I was like, holy shit, this fucker has a car phone.
Listen,
he's like 1979. I'm just calling you from the car phone like it's fucking nothing. It's like, this vampire's got fuck you money.
Yeah. No, car phones were cool. And then bag phones came along after that. My dad had a bag phone. I remember that. He still had it when I was alive. But yeah, no, it's insane. I can't believe you didn't know about car phones. Yeah, they were all the fucking. But
I never had a reason to dive into them as always.
I guess.
And I was just but I mean, come on, that says something about this movie and why it didn't work. It's like one of the things that stands out is the vampires on a car phone. Like, come on, man. It's like that's what stands out to me. You got a vampire, classic modern, 1979 San Francisco story retelling of Dracula. You got the debonair vampire. He's a good character actor, a fucking talented dude. Lots of talent. E.G. Marshall, Jason Miller. You got talent all over the fucking place. And, I'm like, holy shit, he's got a fucking car phone.
Yeah. I mean, the vampire's got a car phone. But that's what stands out. And that's how they made this. But it was so made for TV. Like that.
Absolutely. Even the romantic scenes when he's like, oh, okay, that was one thing. TV kisses. TV kissing in the 70s. It's just like
the angle's always at the back of the head, and
it's always pecs. It's just pecs. Pet, pet, pet. And then they're like hovering over each other's mouths. It's fucking crazy.
That makes it way more awkward than
it's like
just fucking make out.
I was like, what are you doing? But maybe it's because she didn't want to kiss him. I don't fucking know. But it's just awkward. The love scenes are awkward. But then they do the whole like out of focus. Or they double and triple up on the filters to kind of filter the scene so you can't get any real detail. So they just to make it titillating and alluring. Like, come on, dude, your vampire doesn't have fucking fangs. Like, what are you doing?
He had good hair, but that was it.
Oh, he had fantastic hair.
That suit when he's walking.
He had fantastic hair, and that suit never changed. Same fucking suit throughout the whole fucking movie. Months go by in this, and same suit every single time. It's like, fuck no. I guess if you find something and you wear it well, then you just wear it.
That probably happened a lot back in the day.
Well, I mean, it's not like he sweats. So
that's true.
Yeah.
He's also a fucking vampire, so square up, bro.
The fact that he's obviously quite talented at what he does because he's like chewing into people's throats with his bare teeth or like biting them and getting no blood. No blood anywhere.
No blood. Leaving
the dude's evidence. A fucking Dyson.
Now just imagine him walking up to him.
Just a vacuum, just like he just drops pressure and it just it just kind of comes out.
Bitch, I got a fucking car phone. I can create negative space.
It's crazy. That's fucking brilliant. But yeah, that's what I want to talk about regarding this one is like, so made for TV horror. This is kind of a face plant. I've seen scary made for TV horror. I don't give a fuck what Johnny says. It fucking scared me. It was fucking scary. Now I saw it in 1990. I was 10 years old. I saw it on TV. The first half is scary as fuck when you're a kid. Alpha Kid one. He's the wet dry vac of vampires. So you can do scary on TV. There's been scary stuff I've seen. The Stand was scary. There's a way to do it. You play upon the things that you can work with. But if you're going to tackle vampires, even Salem's Lot was made for TV. It didn't come out that far after this one. I think it came out before the original Salem's Lot.
I think it was like 73, wasn't it?
I'm thinking 74. The original Salem's Lot, America. That television actually maybe in the 80s. No, 1979 came out the exact same year.
Yeah, right
and that's maybe they got the budget to do it. But come on, fake fangs. How much are fake fangs? All you need to do is just literally just put them in. They weren't that hard. You look at the vampire designs in Salem's Lot. You look at what they did there. It's essentially the same thing. It's just I don't know why.
Yeah, but look at their location. A lot of that was shot in that house, and it
true.
They had very low.
There was a lot of money that went out the window as far as location shooting because when they're hunting around, going to all the coffins. That's every single time you're moving that set every single place. You have the penthouse that they were shooting in. Although we only got a few scan shots of it real quick.
I'm sure we got there for 10 minutes.
Right. And then we got like the party, then you've got the theater, and then you've got them driving all over creation to go to that out of the way lighthouse, to go to the deep down. And they shot that. That was actual sewer that they went into. They shot that whole sequence down in that tunnel. In the drainage tunnel.
You gotta pay people to be on site for that stuff all day long. You gotta have safety people there. A lot of the money went to the location of this, and but that's, I feel like, a kind of a theme in not with Salem's Lot, but with these made for TV movies, is they do a lot of that location shooting, and they want people to connect with it. So like San Francisco's got a huge population, and they're like, "Oh, let's watch this movie. It's got all the streets that I drive down to go to work."
Right.
On TV. And so that's why stuff like that kind of works, because you got a much bigger audience that can sit on their couch and watch it, as opposed to paying to go see a movie. So I can see where that was used strategically in this. Other than that, though, they would have needed a lot more money, I think, to make this a successful made for TV movie. Not terrible. But like
no,
you said,
I mean,
there's a lot lacking.
The writing was actually decent. I was actually kind of surprised. Like you got a decent script. I mean, it's not great in some areas. I mean, there was a bunch of exposition, but I thought the concept, when they were talking with this vampire, and they're like building them up. All the information comes from different sources. You don't have one person being all the exposition, which was good.
Right.
So you got little bits and details coming from all over the place. And I thought, and I was like, this is actually not bad. It's not badly written. It's actually well produced. I thought it was, I honestly think it needs a 4K restoration just because, just for the sake of it. The character actors are legendary, and why not just do a restoration of this one? Because the version that I saw was actually a duped copy off of VHS. Was how I watched this one.
That they recorded in the movie theater with the fucking camera.
Or maybe it was that, or they just copied it directly when it was airing. And then that was pretty much it.
They probably didn't show it in the theater, huh?
So I'm just kind of like, I mean, but that's just what I mean. If you want to see a movie that has the cleanest fucking vampire you've ever seen, we're talking clean.
Bro, he is fucking clean.
to the nines. He doesn't spill a drop, but he's never fucking. No matter where he lives, he's never dirty.
He's very suave.
So very suave motherfucker. If you want to see that with no fangs, no blood, no real romance, everything is kind of like
YouTube, I think.
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Is it?
And then you can. You look at this. I mean, that's what you're gonna get, and it's actually classified as horror. And I think we see a skeleton shot. It's like a skeleton. There was like some bones, right. And then there's like the scene of the hand, like when he finds his wife, when Rollins finds his wife, and her hand is like her hand is like in the foreground. It's literally like right there. Right. He's like, oh no, and then that's pretty much it. And then he runs off. So yeah, it's. I mean,
that was it.
That was. It. I mean, very Darth Vader. But hey, I mean, what can you do? I mean, when you're shooting network, you're kind of when you're shooting for network TV, you're kind of at the mercy of the network.
God, especially at that time, that was peak fucking network. They were the shit back then. Now they're just shit. Dad jokes, bro. I think that's pretty much it for that one. So I think I can wrap this one up with a question. We've kind of talked about the made for TV stuff. More recently, I think we've seen a lot of these limited series shows on Netflix, and with these new platforms that we have, stuff like these limited series are good because you can do a whole movie idea, but you can get the Netflix budget to do it in 6 episodes, and I feel like it's actually kind of working out. I just started Midnight Mass. And it's pretty good. It's a limited series. I think it's 7 episodes or something like that. But I like that. I like being able to get into the Dracula. That was another one that we discussed that kind of started these whole 3-episode, 5-episode deal.
Oh yeah, the new Netflix one.
Yeah. Dude, it was great. That was a great 3-part series.
Well, it's a good send back to Hammer Horror.
Absolutely.
You can see the inspirations there.
Well, and it mixes, and they use techniques from each era that they're shooting, and it looks really good. So I think that's kind of working. That's something that we can kind of look forward to in the future, is these cool 3, 5, 7-part horror movies that you can really get into character development and shit. So I love character development, and if you have like a whole episode to get into one character, a whole episode to get into another, and then kind of work a story from that, I really like that kind of stuff. But that brings me to the question to the audience. Can horror be made for TV? The platform's changing a lot now, where it's a different type of made for TV horror. So I think we'll stop seeing a lot of that kind of daytime, like, oh, catch it on sci-fi shit. I wouldn't be surprised if sci-fi kind of got on the same board where they're starting to do these limited series stuff.
Well, you see, it's interesting because with the advent of streaming, it almost seems like network TV, like you say, like ABC, CBS, NBC, that what they're doing here is that they're utilizing streaming in order to tap into the kind of cable network market, the stuff that AMC does, and like The Walking Dead. Like you see where we can be a little bit more expressive with the language, expressive with the violence, expressive with the special effects. Now we can spend a little bit more money there because it's less money than doing it for doing a network production. The
Right.
distribution model is built in.
Oh yeah, it's right there.
It's like boom, if you've got subscribers, you can get to your subscribers immediately. There's no having to wait.
You can market from your couch.
Right. I don't have to wait.
Go check planograms at Blockbuster.
It's 7 p.m. It's 7 p.m. I got time to turn on the show.
Yeah.
I can get it.
You don't even have to set it to record. You can watch it whenever the fuck
there
you
want.
want.
As long as the model has changed. But I don't even know. I'm sitting there thinking about it. It's network, just basic network, like CBS. Can they? Can networks like this still do horror, or is it pretty much the domain of cable, cable networks, HBO, Showtime, AMC? I'm just kind of I was curious about that because they may be able to do it on streaming, but I don't know if you'll catch this stuff. Like if I just turn on Channel 4 on my television and there's CBS, will I see it there? What's the last time you looked?
I steer away from it. And recently, that's the thing is I haven't for a long time, but I have a digital antenna and I was trying to catch to see if I could get some football this weekend because I'm sick of watching the fucking Cowboys. They just are terrible. So I was trying to see if I could catch anything else because they do the Cowboys game on Prime and stuff. So I hooked up my little digital antenna. I turned the TV on and it was just news. And there's so many 24-hour news, on the weekend now on these big channels. And it's just terrible. It's just the news is just shit right now. I don't want to sit there and listen about people getting fucking murdered all day. So I was like, I don't even fuck it. It's not even worth it. I'll go back to watching Netflix because that's entertaining, and I don't feel like, I got to go save, babies' lives or some shit because it's it's just crazy. I can't stand. I had it on for a day and I was like, no, fuck that. Yeah. That's all just bad stuff. So I don't know. It's different than it used to be for sure.
Alpha Can 91 says in the 80s, public broadcast censors were very strict. Oh, there was actually an episode of the X-Files that made fun of that. On broadcast standards and practices, this is unacceptable. And he busts in there and kills everybody on set. It was great. Alpha Can 91 says blood on public TV was measured in cups, not gallons. Very,
a lot of times it was just inferred too. It was there was blood everywhere. They come out of the room and they never show it's in the room. Yeah.
Travis Brown, if you get the right scares like Salem's Lot, then horror can be made for TV. That's true, but I think where it comes down to, and you may disagree or you may have a different answer. Definitely shoot us an email, weekinhorror@gmail.com, or let us know in the comments. I don't know if I'm a network television, just basic network television. I don't know if it's there anymore.
How would you even market that to people?
I think the market's dead because they'll just produce it, put it on streaming,
put it on HBO.
We may
HBO, if they don't like it, go to Netflix, go to Hulu, go to Paramount Plus, go to Disney Plus.
Amazon.
Pick one. Somebody will pick you up.
Yeah, it's just kind of I don't think there's I think it may be a dead realm. Maybe it's just a dead area. We'll find out. Let us know. Let us know what you think. weekinhorror@gmail.com.
I watched Velocipaster again the other day.
Nice.
It's great.
The perfect movie does not exist. Oh, Velocipaster.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, thank you, Ryan and Nance. Appreciate that. We seem to be missing some likes. Smash that like button if you get an opportunity. I see how many people are in there. 25 people there. I have no idea how many likes we have because I can't see that right now. So, but I appreciate that, Ryan.
Hit the subscribe button to beat the dreaded algorithm. Do we have to be like every YouTuber?
That dreaded algorithm is just killing us.
Look, you had this many views, but you only had 3 likes, and nobody subscribes, so you have 0 views. What?
Who is it? I know that there's the big thing about trying to push us. Oh, look at that. We are currently at 492.
Oh, so close.
We are so close to 500.
Hit that 500.
We're 8 away from 500 on YouTube. I hope that we can hit that. The halfway mark would be fantastic, but we're 8 away. So maybe when this goes out, we'll be able to hit this one. That would be cool to hit the halfway mark.
That'd be super dope.
All right. So we got one more to close this bad boy out. And this is an interesting one. And I actually wanted to get Johnny's take on this. I'm sorry he wasn't able to join us for this. But let me actually, I jumped over to check the YouTube channel. So I got to go jump back to my notes. So yes, released October 9th, 2020. We have the psychological religious horror film, Saint Maud.
Talk about a fucking directorial debut, man.
Right. Written and directed by Rose Glass, starring Morfydd Clark, who is a Welsh actress, a very talented Welsh actress. She'll be in the new Amazon Prime Lord of the Rings series coming up. And Jennifer L. The story centers around a young woman traumatized by previous events who, after becoming reborn as a devout Catholic, and working as a nurse, is basically sent to take care of the palliative care. She's a palliative care nurse. Is sent to be the caretaker for a woman dying from a former dancer dying of lymphoma, stage 4 lymphoma. And in her final days, Maud becomes obsessed with trying to save her soul. Believes that God has put her on her path to save this woman's soul, and this was scary, and it was scary in two ways. Hey, Dajube, hello, good. Thank you for joining us tonight. Good to see you.
What's that?
So this one kind of hit me on two levels. Is one, you see the terrifying effects of fundamentalist belief, especially this degree, especially when you realize when it's uncovered the reason that Maud, or actually Katie is her real name, she changed her name to Maud to escape her past, was because she worked as a trauma nurse in the ER, and I guess the death got to her, and she lost a patient, and as a result of that, had a breakdown, tried to commit suicide, and then religion was kind of like the last rung she clung to. So it shows the terror of that, which is really which is scary in and of itself. But then what that can lead to when you're engaging with other people, and how you never really know what's under the surface. So it's both the terror, the psychological terror of fundamentalist behavior, of that extremist behavior, and also the fact that you never really know somebody, because throughout most of the film, Maud comes off as meek, quiet, caring, nurturing, friendly. She's there to she's a nurse. That she's there to assist and to help, but underneath is just this ocean of pain and regret and inner torment, and as she narrates herself through this cycle, it was like, God has a purpose for me. It's meant to like this. Then all of a sudden, when things don't go right, all of a sudden it's kind of like, wait, maybe God's pulling a prank on me. I don't understand this. And then, her views on her religion change as her moods change, because this character is obviously mentally unstable, and
but not to herself. So this.
No, to her it's completely real. Of course,
absolutely, everything is going on, and that's what's terrifying about this movie. It's so psychological, and the whole time, it's hard because this is so new and it's so good that I don't want to give a whole bunch away. So I'll kind of brush on it like this: you start out with somebody who went through a lot and is now trying to cope with it, but instead of coping, it just gets pushed really hard down into the depths, and then is replaced with this facade of righteousness, and like you said, thinking like, okay, maybe it's not okay, but then just giving giving everything up, putting all your faith into something that is supposed to be guiding you, and you feel that it is, and then in the end, at the very, very last second, you realize that you've made a terrible and fatal mistake, and everything comes crashing down. A lot of the character development in this movie comes at the very last couple minutes of this movie, where everything kind of clicks into place, and you get sucked from the beginning of this movie. Everything you felt through the whole thing all gets drawn into this singular point at the very end of this movie, and it's like, holy shit. The director did such a good job in this, and Maud Clark, was that her last name? Clark? Did such a good job at telling the story of this person who had been through trauma in a way that it's like, you kind of question, like, shit, have I repressed things in my life that could come back and kick me in the ass? And so this was a psychological fucking roller coaster for sure.
Big time. And I love how both Morphin, I want to make sure Morphin, because her name is Welsh, and she gets, and it's cool because it's everybody speaks. Supposedly because she's in Wales, and everybody is speaking English around her, but she occasionally has moments where she speaks Welsh because the actress can speak is fluent in both. And she's an extremely talented young lady. And I love the way she and the director and the cinematographer work together, especially, and also the director of photography work together in order to convey the kind of mental state that she is in. And so that you get this, I would say a continuing theme throughout the film and how they shot it was how the camera focuses on mundane things, but very intently. Mm-hmm. In essence, she herself, and I would hazard that the character actually suffers from some level of OCD, where she hyper focuses on one particular thing for an inordinate amount of time, and hyper focuses on the details of things. So you'll find the camera grabbing stuff like things that are just innocuous and staring at it while action is going on, and just like, and you hear things in the background almost like they're kind of secondary to the action on screen, which is just the tomato soup and boiling in a pan, or a water faucet running, or a drain, water running down the drain.
There was a shot of the living room with like the wall, the mantle. There's something on the mantle,
right? And it's just, and that's and essentially, and then you look at how Katie operates through the movie, because she's a nurse, but everything is ordered, everything is set, everything is carefully placed, everything is measured out. Which, I mean, you say she's a nurse and she's professional, but it's to an obsessive degree,
right?
Where things are so symmetrical.
They play on that a lot.
Be in order. Yeah,
they play on that being like almost like a subconscious thing. Like there's something in the back of her head, trying to, organize everything in her life, but it's all falling apart. And that's all she does the whole time, is just try to organize these thoughts and feelings. And it kind of plays all around in that. I guess I noticed that, that the camera work focusing on it, but it's like, what is she doing? Is she thinking about what's going on? Is she completely blanking out? Like, is everything,
Yeah.
What's going on in her head?
That's why, and that was so, I mean, there's so much speculation you can do about this character. Like, what is going on in her head? What is she thinking about in this? Most likely she's dwelling on her religious, or her relationship with God. Then you have, what I got from this, just from my background, from what I understand about it, is that I think that she suffered from OCD, and she was I think she also was schizophrenic, or
it's more of a dissociative.
Because she was the perfect age, maybe dissociative, because she was the perfect age for schizophrenia to start presenting itself, and I think she suffered from epilepsy.
Yeah. See, that's another thing that's not even implied, though. I mean, it is, but it's not outright like stated. Absolutely, that whole tuning out thing. It makes you think, like, is she repressing things at those times? Because the things that happen kind of after she kind of snaps out of it and everything kind of goes back to normal. It's like, okay, I had my moment. I took my moment to press everything down, and I'll do this whenever I start to get. And then I'll press it down, and then I can live my whole life just pushing those things down and ignoring them. But it doesn't. Right. It doesn't work that way.
They'll always, especially when things don't go right. As we see, oftentimes things do not go right for Maud. They don't. Like, when certain things come out, especially when Angela, the woman that she's the dancer who she is caring for, kind of makes fun of her, makes her a laughingstock, humiliates her at one point during her birthday party. And then, of course, the way people react to her, she's closeted, she's wound very, very tight. And then when she does try to express herself and come out, especially when she feels like God has abandoned her, and she's got nothing, like she was wrong about everything, then she tries to kind of rebel. And even her rebellion is awkward and stilted and overbearing. So, and it just, I felt for her badly, because there are people, and that's what made it scary, is there are people going through this. This is a glimpse of real life. It's
so much scarier.
It's too real.
And there's, like you said, there's an age. It's around 28 when stuff like that starts to kind of come out, like you're talking about schizophrenia and bipolar disorder and stuff like that. And one day you could just be a different person. You have no idea that it's coming sometimes. And, or, it slowly happens and you don't realize it. And then somebody points it out one day. And, if you don't have a person in your life, or you don't realize it, you could live for a very long time in a reality that is not reality. And that's terrifying. And there's not enough research, and there's not enough people out there that can diagnose these kinds of things just by kind of looking at like a PET scan, or, talking to somebody about it. And that's terrifying in itself, because it's like, fuck, you start to question everything around you. And it's like, it could be me and you, we could be living our lives thinking that everything's going one way. Even if there's somebody screaming in your ear saying it's not, that doesn't register in your brain. And so that's like, then you're starting to think like, fuck, is anything real? Like, am I doing this? Right. Do I kill people on the side and not know about it in my sleep? Like, but it's terrifying.
One thing that really stuck out to me is when she loses her job after the incident with Amanda at the party, and then she's got nothing. It's just she's in her little like state-funded housing, which is just this terrible little apartment that she's in, and you see her slow descent because she has nothing to focus on,
right,
except for herself and her own thoughts, and because she's stuck in her little house, she's got no income. And this shitty little apartment. She's all alone. She has no friends. She's rejected everybody from her previous life when she was a nurse. And she used to, apparently, according to the characters around her, she used to be fun. She used to be kind of hedonistic. You'd go out and just be partying and stuff. Hey, cat. Sorry, there's Alex. For those listening, Alex picked up his cat, put him in the camera. So it's like, oh, hey, cat.
Hey, kitty.
And so it was the deterioration of her apartment over time.
Yeah.
The longer she was in there by herself, and it's just a reflection of the deterioration of her mind, and that's what led me to believe that I was to conclude that she suffered from some level of schizophrenia. Is because the behaviors of it, she was not keeping up. She's so internally focused on what was going on in her own
mind
thoughts.
Organized.
Like the disorganization of her mind was causing disorganization. So there's trash all eventually building up all over the place. It's dirty. There are cockroaches. And she spends, like especially the scene because at one point in the movie she deliberately burns her hand on a stove. As the kind of like the Catholic something the Catholics do. I know that when they flagellate. And when they're beating themselves like this, using pain in order to drive away impure thoughts or to drive away, feelings, just those feelings of nature. So she burns herself deliberately on a stove at one point, and she burns herself quite badly. And so at one point when she's like digging at her hand, which was that was kind of like, because it looked really super fucking painful. And then of course, just everything just falling apart around her until eventually she feels like she's had some epiphany, and then she's able to get things back in order and start CPM, like flagellation, and she's causing harm to herself. Angela was watching it with me when she puts the tack pads in her shoes.
Oh yeah. Oh god.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. It's stuff like that. It's like it wasn't even like hardcore, gore or anything, but it's like the thought.
Purity through physical sacrifice,
it
man.
Made your brain feel funny. Ugh.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that. It was pretty.
And then, of course, that finale. I mean, it was,
bro, and the acetone, and then you're like, maybe everything I thought was wrong, and then
that very final scene, it's like,
and then you're like, yeah, there's probably no way that's happening.
That's not happening at all. No. So,
and then and then it flips, and you're like, oh god.
So I don't want to spoil that for anybody because it's literally the last moment of the film when you see it. Just I don't want to spoil that for anybody on that one. But yes, and the George said, like the guy from the Da Vinci Code, the albino. This is a form of it's purification through pain is what it is, or purification through pain and purification through fire, and that paying right and answer right, paying penance, and in essence. You essentially, the pain negatively reinforces the thoughts that you don't want to have or the feelings you don't want to have. So whenever you have them, your brain associates that feeling with the pain, and then eventually you will stop having them because you've essentially, burnt them away, or the pain will keep them away. But unfortunately, it doesn't happen, which is why self-flagellation continues on throughout life for people who endure it, and it gets worse and worse because your pain tolerance goes up. But your pain tolerance will go up, but your thoughts will always return. So
right. That's
But a deeply disturbing little psychological thriller that I would highly recommend, and I think will give some people the skeevies as particular imagery, especially when the cinematographer is not just capturing the scene; he is capturing a scene through Maud's eyes.
It's a descent into darkness that you're experiencing as the person descending,
right.
Which is cool. You're not watching it from the outside being like, oh, that person's going crazy. You're like, am I the crazy one? Or is no, it's cool. It made me feel the whole time self-flatulence.
Travis Brown, self-flatulence.
That's called That's called the Dutch oven.
Yeah. Tony Regime says, Alex, that makes you cringe. I watched a TV show where a group of idiots jumped barefoot on Legos.
Dude, I stepped on a Lego earlier, and my wife got mad. Like I stepped on the Lego and my wife got mad.
Well,
it's how bad it fucking hurts.
If you've ever played D&D, if you ever played like tabletop, like that, obviously one of the dice in a dice set is a D4.
A D4, yeah.
So
step on those little triangle motherfuckers.
We used to call them caltrops. You just throw the D4s, and people's like, fucks.
you could fucking stop a pursuing vehicle with a handful of D4s for sure.
So yeah, but an excellent little horror film. I strongly recommend it. But I want to ask the audience. So, what is your favorite psychological horror film? I'm very, very curious. There's so many of them. I can say one of my number one favorites is the movie Seven. What about you, Alex?
Oh shit! Now you fucked me up with Seven. No, that's pretty good. Fuck. I mean, you get into psychological horror, man. God, so what's in the box?
What the fuck is in the fucking box?
Every time you fucking bring that up, dude, I play the whole movie in my head. It's ridiculous. I've seen it so many fucking times.
It's wild how it just
Shrooms. Shrooms is
good. Yeah, that was
Shrooms
a fucked up
probably
one.
If I had to pick a favorite of all time, I think Shrooms would have to be it.
Oh, we got some good ones here. Donnie Does That says Identity. That was a good one. The Tony Redeem says Misery. Fantastic.
That's a good one.
And the George says Omen. Sure. Nice. Travis Brown says Candyman.
And the Jordan, are you talking Omen back in the day? Or
yeah, probably the original, the Omen. Yeah, because you have the new one with Julia Stiles.
Because the June 6, 2006 one was kind of...
Charlie Welch says 12 Monkeys.
Nice. Yeah.
Fucking Terry Gilliam, man. Awesome
Dude,
shit.
Yeah.
Oh, Joshua Lee says, would Donnie Darko be considered horror? Yes, it would. That was a psychological horror film. That rabbit, Frank the Rabbit, was definitely psychological horror.
God, those scenes, that's another one of those where it just sits there. And you're
Gothica.
awkward.
Gothica was good. Robert Downey Jr., Halle Berry.
Halle Berry, bro.
Yeah. Oh, the scene with the mirror? Yeah.
That was on the cover art for the not the VHS.
But definitely let us know. What is your favorite psychological horror film? We'd love to hear what you think. Let us know in the comments below or hit us up at weekinhorror@gmail.com. Well,
hold on. Joshua Lee. I think this is, I don't know, this might be the first time. Joshua Lee said Albert Fish thought that too. I'm assuming they're talking about flatulation or self-harm and stuff. Oh. This is I think the first time Albert Fish has been brought up in our podcast.
Yeah, well,
that's weird that he hasn't been brought up previously.
Albert Fish was a bad one.
Dude. Yeah, but the whole, if you've ever heard anything about him sticking rose stems and places,
no, I know what. I'm very. My background's in forensic psychology, dude.
I'd rather watch something get stuck under somebody's fingernail than. Oh my god! Think about it.
Commander Darklight. Oh, Angel Heart. Yes, Angel Heart. Robert De Niro and Mickey Rourke, and where Robert De Niro played the devil.
Fucking broken. Mm-hmm. Trump presidency.
The Trump presidency. Oh, well, there went the alt-right crowd.
Anyway, yeah. See you later.
All right. Well, it's about that time, Alex. What do you think?
Here. I think we should probably give some shit away.
Is it trivia time?
I think we should probably give some shit away.
Time to give some shit away. All right. So, I'm going to let you decide. What should we give away?
Oh,
should we give away a limited edition shirt number 4, the fourth one? Should we give away a season 3 shirt? Should we give away a coffee mug? I always decide every week. So I want you to decide this week. I want you to tell our audience what we are giving them, the winner of this trivia question today.
Have we given away a season 4 or a season 3 shirt?
Yes, we have. We gave away 2 season 3 shirts. Jinju got a season 3 shirt. Sarcasm got a season 3 shirt, and Jord got a limited edition shirt number 4. He got the Shit Gets Real shirt.
Nice. You need some pictures of that. Give away a mug. I'm hearing give away a mug.
Give away a mug?
We do give away a lot of shirts.
We give away a lot of shirts, but not a lot of mugs.
Let's do a mug.
Can we do a limited edition mug? We still have that one on the store.
We could do a limited edition mug.
Let's do a limited edition mug.
Let's do that before it disappears.
All right. For episode 302, we're going to do a limited edition mug. That's the one with the custom art by Joshua Olsen.
Dude, it's good. It's good
stuff.
Limited
edition mug number 1. Oh, it's so good. Yeah. The link for Joshua Olsen's story does all of our in-house artwork is down in the description below. So definitely check that out. Yeah, all right. So let me see. George says give away a mug. I only have shirts, need a mug. Charlie Will says I have a mug and he uses it well. Gerald says don't give away jail. I have to give away. I'm compelled to give away.
I think maybe he meant like don't give away you.
Oh, don't give away me. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Daryl M. I really do. Nerd Joel says, I have some nugs. I think that's different. That's something else.
I don't know if it's, chicky nuggies or, nuggies.
Nug nugs.
Either way.
Okay, so let's do this. We're going to give away a limited edition mug number, our first limited edition mug featuring custom artwork by Joshua Olsen, done specially for the channel. Get your Google Foo ready. I see Jordan is already prepping his Google Foo.
He's already typing in all caps. He's ready to go. Let's fucking
go. Good. Yes. All right. Alex, take it away with this week's trivia question.
All right. This week's trivia question is, who was Roddy McDowall's horror host character Peter Vincent from 1985's Fright Night named in honor of? Who was Roddy McDowall's horror host character Peter Vincent from 1985's Fright Night named in honor of?
I got to get the live chat ready so I make sure that we have the right person who gets it.
I got both of mine up too.
All right. First person with the correct answer in the live chat will win a Week in Horror limited edition #1 mug. Tony Regime says, oh, Ooh. No. Oh, I see. This is why I asked it, because I knew it was going to happen. Okay. As a hint, this is actually a referential trivia question that referenced our Elvira episode last week. Okay, so if you watched that episode, the answer to this one was actually in the previous episode of Week in Horror, just to give you a heads up, because we have a lot of what we see here. So we got Tony Regime says Vincent Price. No, unfortunately not. Commander Darklight also said Vincent Price. Charlie Welch and Peter Cushing. Unfortunately, no. Nerd Journal says Mary Jane.
What is Nerd Journal? Hey, I see what you're on.
Glober Mom also said Vincent Price. Unfortunately, Vincent Price is not the answer. Charlie Welch is Peter Vincent. Oh, Peter Vincent was the name of his character in Fright Night, but who is he named for? Alex, give him the question one more time.
All right, we're going to do this one more time. Who was Roddy McDowall's horror host character, Peter Vincent, from 1985's Fright Night, named in honor of? Not Peter Vincent, not the person who played it. Who was...
Daryl M says Charlie Brewster. Nope, that was the name of the other guy in Fright Night. Unfortunately, the Cowardly Lion. That's hilarious. Tony receives Mario Bava. Great say. What's this? Charlie Welch says Herbert McHollihy. What the? I don't know who is Herbert McHollihy.
I don't know. Mario Bava. Nice try.
I gotta know who Herbert McHollihy. I think he made that up.
It's not popping up.
That name. Oh yeah, that Google search resulted in nothing. There's nothing on that deal, so that's made up. Chris Durham says Van Gogh's member or Van Gogh's member. Unfortunately, no. Come on, I know someone out there. 26 people watching this. I know someone's got to have that answer by now.
Who was Peter Vincent named after?
So, who was Roddy McDowall's horror host character Peter Vincent from 1985's Fright Night named in honor of? Where was the name taken from? Daryl M says Peter Cushing. No, a lot of Hammer horror references here. Come on, I know someone out there's got it. 27 people watching. Maybe if I rephrase it, make it a little bit easier. Roddy McDowall, legendary actor Roddy McDowall, played the horror host Peter Vincent in 1985's Fright Night. The character Peter Vincent was named in honor of this person.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to pose. I didn't want to put it like Jeopardy. I didn't want to do it like that. So. Oh, so many more. Daryl M says Peter Cushing. Another Vincent Price from Daryl M. Oh, I think Daryl's just spamming trying to get it. Charlie Welch says Simon Banford. Tony Regime says Peter Cushing and Vincent Price. Unfortunately, no, that is not the answer. You'd think it would be, but it actually isn't. Josh Lee says Peter Graves. No, unfortunately. Charlie Welch says Tim Holland. No, that was it's actually Tom Holland was the director of Fright Night, unfortunately. And the George says, I don't know. The Google says Vincent Price and Peter Cushing. Oh, wow. Are we not going to get an answer for this? We talked about it on the last episode. Daryl M says spam is good, especially fried. Logical Hillbilly, good to see you in the house. He came by just for the trivia tonight. Says Peter Jackson. Unfortunately, no, that's not it either. CPM says Wikipedia lies to us. Travis Brown says Vampira. Okay. Here's another hint. Vampira took over after this person died. That's the answer. I can't give any more hints. I essentially just told them who it was.
I'm trying to see if there's like a way that I can type it into Google to get it.
Charlie Welch says Peter Lorre. I think this is the longest. Is this the longest we've gone without an answer?
No, we've definitely got a couple that were about this.
That were longer than this?
Yeah.
We're gonna close in on it. I mean,
for sure.
Man, Peter, I see Peter. See, I'm great because I'm getting like spurts of like stuff on the screen. Like, I'm like a little button. I gotta go down because people will get an answer and they'll run back to it real fast. Let me see. Joshua Lee said Roddy McDowell. No, not Roddy. Roddy McDowell was the actor who played him. And the George says Pakvo Nurmi. Now, I'm thinking it's a reference talking about who Vampira, that actress who played Vampira. But the actor before that, IMDb says Peter Cushing and Vincent Price. No, that's actually not it. IMDb is wrong on. Yes, Daryl M has got it.
Yo, so it does in the wiki fandom. It says Peter Cushing and Vincent Price.
It does, but
that's not
where it comes from, because Peter Vincent was, and yes, Daryl M got it. It is Larry Vincent. Larry Vincent was Sinister Seymour. Was Seymour the horror host in the I think it was in the 70s to the 80s, who did a weekend show, or it was the 70s, who did a weekend show where he was the campy horror host. Seymour Presents, and he did a show. One of his shows he hosted was called Fright Night. And so, yes, Peter Vincent was taken, and it is correct that Vincent, the last name, was taken in honor of Larry Vincent's work on that show, on the original show, Fright Night. The movie was called Fright Night. And yes, the name Peter was taken from Peter Cushing, the classic, Hammer horror actor. But Vincent came directly from Larry Vincent, who played Seymour until he passed away. And then that show was taken over by Vampira, who then, after she quit, it was taken over by Elvira. So congrats to Daryl M. It was a stumper and the reason I chose it is because IMDb, Wikipedia, all of that is actually incorrect because they don't source the right material. And the right material comes from the production notes.
Yeah, interviews with the production managers.
Interviews with the production notes, the production notes of Fright Night.
Yeah.
And how they named Peter Vincent. So it was in honor of Larry Vincent. And if you look at his picture, he's so adorable. Like, he's got the sunken cheeks and the sallow eyes, and he's like the goofy kind of like lanky dude. Oh, he's great fun to watch. But yes, in honor of Larry Vincent. Congratulations to Daryl M. Let me write that name down.
Good job.
I knew.
If there's anybody out there that edits wikis, you should probably go in there and change some shit, because the fandom wiki is fucking way wrong.
Oh yeah, big time wrong.
Yeah.
So that's why I love that. I wanted to use that question the minute I read about it. I was like, oh, I'm definitely going to ask this, because a lot of people thought it was written a lot of places that it was Peter Vincent was the inspiration of Vincent Price and Peter Cushing.
Occam's razor, dude. That was the easiest explanation.
Exactly. It's the easy explanation. Unfortunately, they don't go deep enough, and they just make that assumption based on the legendary horror figures, when in actuality, good old Larry Vincent, who not a lot of people remember because he was overshadowed by Vampira, and then she was overshadowed by Elvira.
And you know what? That brings us back to our first movie, where if you just follow the shadow people, you probably won't have all the information you need.
There you go. All right, fantastic. Well, congratulations to Daryl M. for winning a limited edition Week in Horror mug. I believe I have your shipping info. If you need to update it, give me the new info. Just go and hit us. You know where to hit us at on the Week in Horror Discord, or shoot us an email, weekinhorror@gmail.com, and we will get that out to you ASAP. Fantastic. Well, that will bring an episode. Let me start again. We can cut that part out. And that brings another episode of Week in Horror to a close. Thank you all so much for listening, and we truly hope you enjoyed the show. Join us next week when we look back at the original Sorority House Massacre Stephen King's Silver Bullet, Happy Death Day, and The Mind-Bending Triangle. We'd like to send a special shout out to our amazing patrons who have helped us make this show the success it has become. Thank you all so very, very much. We could not do this without you. Also, be sure to check out Joshua Olsen's new store, badsamurai.store. Josh does all the amazing artwork that you see for our limited edition t-shirts and our mugs and our cover art. And he has some amazing new designs you all will be sure to love. I absolutely love the Ghost King from the Dead Army from Lord of the Rings. I love that shirt. I've got to order one for myself. I keep forgetting to do it. Visit us at weekinhorror.net, where you can find links to all of our episodes, our bios, our merch store at Teespring, and of course, enter your email for a permanent entry to win a mystery horror shirt every month, courtesy of $6shirts.com. We have a drawing coming up in October. Here tomorrow, I will be drawing a name. So for one of our $6 shirts, thanks to them, we love them over there. For more horror entertainment, be sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Followers get our daily splatter, which is a little bit of horror info every day right to your feed. You never know what new horrors you may discover. Subscribe to our channel. Smash that bell like a zombie head and that like button. We appreciate it. For all the latest updates from the show, we really hope you enjoyed this new live format since we switched to it, and we'd love to get your feedback on it. Be sure to leave us a comment below, as the interactions really help us with that dreaded algorithm that we hate so much.
It sucks.
And lastly, if y'all truly love what we do here and would like and are able to support our production, you can through our Patreon. We have subscriber tiers as low as $1 a month, bonus and exclusive content, and horror films every single month for our higher tiers. However, if you prefer, you can support the show with one-time donations through our PayPal as well. Links to all of this, including our Discord community, where you can find film recommendations, trailers, trivia games, horror watch parties, and even interact directly with us, are in the description below. And we know that things are fucking crazy out there again. And we don't know what's going on. Things are definitely uncertain. So, your support is integral to us to making the show happen. And as always, simply commenting, liking, and sharing the show with the friends that you know in your local horror community is the absolute best way to help us continue to grow. So thank you all so much for being the greatest audience that a podcast could have. I'm JL.
I'm Alex.
We will see you all next week. And as always, stay scared.